Chapter 11:10. Swish, just as Yin Jun finished his words, the immortal's body's wings fluttered. He dashed over and punched at Yin Jun's chest. Yin Jun was distracted because he shouted. The immortal's body was too fast. The immortal's body's fist was already on Yin Jun's chest. Bang! With a muffled sound, Yin Jun's relic armor glowed in a purple light. Yin Jun was smashed away, but nothing happened to him. There was not even a drop of blood coming out from his mouth. *T. Is a relic armor that strong? Luli had been watching with psychic power. He was taken aback. He had thought that even with a relic armor, Yin Jun would at least be hurt. He didn't expect that nothing would happen to him. Whoosh! Yin Jun dashed over and swung his relic weapon at the immortal's body. He did not want to destroy the immortal's body. Instead, he wanted to stall the immortal's body so that the other 3 semi-god realm warriors could run away. The immortal's body, go after the other 3. Lu Li's voice was heard as he gave the immortal's body an order. Since he could not kill Yin Jun in a short time, then he would kill the other 3 semi-god realm warriors first. Whoosh! The immortal's body spread his wings and sped up to the extreme. He ignored Yin Jun's attack and went after a semi-god realm warrior on the left. The immortal's body was as fast as a blur. Yin Jun wanted to stop him, but he realized that compared to the immortal's body, he was too slow. The semi-god realm warrior on the left had just run for dozens of miles when he heard some noise behind him. A creepy and horrifying energy enveloped him. From the depth of his soul, he sensed a fatal danger. He had no intention of fighting back. He tore apart space at once and used a special skill to sneak into a crack in space. He wanted to hide in the crack to evade the immortal's body's attack. Swish! Clearly, he was overthinking. The immortal's body punched at the sky. Space trembled violently. The semi-god realm warrior was shaken out from the crack in space. The immortal's body punched at his back. No! The semi-god realm warrior shouted in terror. Unfortunately, a surge of energy surged into his body. Then that surge of energy exploded inside him. The semi-god realm warrior was reduced to a mist of blood. Even his quasi-relic armor cracked. Oh hum! Yin Jun howled in grief. This man was not a member of the Yin clan, but his relationship with him was deeper than that of a real brother. This was because this person had followed him for hundreds of years and was his most loyal subordinate. He had shed blood for him many times, and the two of them were even in-laws. One could imagine the relationship between them. Lu Li, I will kill you. I will cut you into pieces. I will wipe out the heaven reverse universe. Yin Jun roared furiously. His voice was infused with dark force, and it resounded in a radius of thousands of miles. There were still some people from the Waters region who hadn't escaped far away. Hearing Yin Jun's roar, they all shivered, thinking that a ghost had escaped from hell. Continue the chase. Lu Li flew the wicked bead over and ordered the immortal's body. He turned a deaf ear to Yin Jun's threat. From the moment the Yin family sent warriors to invade the heaven reverse universe, he and the Yin family had come to an end. Such threats were meaningless. Xiao! The immortal's body flapped its wings and turned into a beam of light, chasing after the other semi-god realm warrior. The immortal's body was 10 times faster than a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm, so it was too easy for him to catch up with them. Lu Li, tell the immortal's body to stop. Let's talk. Yin Jun chased for a while. He was sure that he could not catch up with the immortal's body. Seeing that the immortal's body was about to catch up with brother 6 of his family, Yin Jun had to suppress his anger and yelled. This time, he brought 4 semi-god realm warriors with him, and all of them were at the peak of the semi-god realm. They were the best of the Yin family. The Yin family had quite a number of semi-god realm warriors. Last time, Yin Gu brought 2 with him, and both died. If another 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm were to die, the Yin family would suffer a great loss. Though the divine imperial city would not fall and the Yin family would not be wiped out, the Yin family would not have the power to deter the 9 universes. Talk! There is nothing to talk about. Lu Li's answer made the anger that Yin Jun had been suppressing burst out. The immortal's body dashed on and soon caught up with brother 6 of the Yin family. Yin Jun shouted again. Luli, if you dare to kill my sixth brother, I will kill all the people of the Heaven Reverse universe. You have the wicked bead to protect you, but can you protect the people of the Heaven Reverse universe? Charge, Luli said coldly without any hesitation. He could not be merciful to his enemies. He had to kill them all to make them afraid. That was the only way to solve the problem once and for all. If Luli compromised this time, Yinjun would threaten him with the people of the Heaven Reverse universe again. Sooner or later, Luli would be killed by Yinjun. Boom! The immortal's body caught up with Brother Six of the Yin family and punched him on the back. Brother Six of the Yin family exploded into a mist of blood right before Yinjun's eyes. At that moment, Yinjun trembled. His back was bent as if he had lost his soul. Regret and sorrow were written all over his face. Yinjun was informed that the immortal's body was powerful. Yet, this time, he was stubborn enough to bring 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm. Yinjun had thought that he could stop the immortal's body in person and let the 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm crack the wicked bead. Little did he expect that this would be the result. Keep going, Luli said emotionlessly. The immortal's body flapped his wings and dashed toward another direction. One of the semi-god realm warriors was further away and could no longer be seen. However, he used subsidiary bodies were all over the waters region. This semi-god realm warrior was under her surveillance at all times. Where could he go? The immortal's body and the wicked bead flew to the right quickly. Yinjun was stunned for a moment, but went after them anyway. Unfortunately, he was not as fast as the immortal's body. That being said, he was much faster than the wicked bead. Luli was just there to enjoy the show. Speed did not matter. The last semi-god realm warrior had run for thousands of miles. In the time for 1 incense stick to burn, the immortal's body had caught up with him. The immortal's body and Luli shared a spiritual connection. The immortal's body was like Luli's puppet or beast. Luli could control the immortal's body to track down the warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm. Boom! When Yinjun caught up with the semi-god realm warrior, he only heard a noise of explosion in the distance. He used psychic power to check. The sky was filled with blood mist. He could not even see the last of that semi-god realm warrior. Yinjun raised his head to the sky and roared. His voice was filled with endless sorrow and rage, mixed with a trace of regret. He regretted his wrong decision. Even if he could get the wicked bead this time, the Yin family would have suffered a great loss. Charge, charge, charge! Yinjun's eyes turned red. There happened to be a small city down there with many dark, one-horned people. Although he didn't make any unusual movements, he casually condensed several huge handprints and bombarded them indiscriminately. At this moment, only slaughter could vent the rage in his heart, and only then could he alleviate the guilt and regret in his heart. How could the dark, one-horned people in the small city survive a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm? Many castles in the city were leveled to the ground. Many innocent dark, one-horned people were minced and died without a whole body. Luli. Chapter 1111. Killing Civilians of the Heaven Reverse Universe? Luli snorted and ordered the immortal's body. Attack Yinjun and take his relic weapon. Yinjun's relic armor was strong. The immortal's body would not be able to crack it anytime soon. At the same time, the immortal's body's defense was so strong that Yinjun's attacks could not inflict any damage on the immortal's body. Therefore, Luli believed that Yinjun would be harmed if the attacks went on. If he could kill Yinjun and get the relic weapon and armor, Luli would be rich. The immortal's body whooshed across the sky toward Yinjun. Yinjun looked at the immortal's body with a cold smile. The relic weapon in his hand glowed. There seemed to be a mysterious soul flowing in it, which was breathtaking. Sky-shattering strike, Yinjun roared. The blade of the god weapon in his hand lit up, leaving a dazzling light in the air. It was as if the blade was so sharp that it could cut open the sky. It did not feel like he was tearing apart the void. He was merely tearing open a white line in the sky. Bang! The relic weapon cracked open the void and landed on the immortal's body. With some sparks, the immortal's body was knocked back for 1,000 feet. This time, there was a faint mark on the headless neck, but it was only a slight mark. To break the skin of the immortal's body would be difficult. What level is the immortal's body at? Yin Jun was taken aback. This was not an average immortal's body. Not even a mighty warrior in the divinity could be this strong. After all, a living immortal might be strong in defense, but a dead immortal would be nothing but a dead body. This was purely physical strength. Let's go. Since the immortal's body could not be destroyed, Yin Jun would not waste any more time. He flew toward Lu Li's wicked bead. He wanted to see if he could crack the wicked bead. Whoosh! The immortal's body caught up and struck at Yin Jun's back. Yin Jun's relic armor glowed, but he was only smashed away for hundreds of feet. Yin Jun flew on as if nothing had happened. It was as if he was just pushed. Impressive. Lulu was not far away. He saw this with psychic power. He exclaimed to himself that Yin Jun was indeed invincible with a relic weapon. Almost no one in the 9 realms could kill it. Even if one became a deity, it would still be difficult to kill it, right? Boom, boom, boom. The god's corpse kept catching up to Yin Jun and kept attacking him. However, the god's corpse could only cause the armor to shine brightly and send Yin Jun flying. Yin Jun's facial expression did not change much, let alone vomiting blood. Soon, Yin Jun was close to the wicked bead. He smashed at the wicked bead with his relic weapon. The wicked bead did not tremble, but there was a cyan glow. Clearly, the wicked bead had suffered a heavy blow. Terrifying. Lu Li checked the consumption of energy in the wicked bead. He was taken aback. This move was more powerful than 10 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm. The wicked bead could not survive for more than half a year, or even less, if Yin Jun went on like this. Give it a try. Lu Li did not fly the wicked bead away. He wanted to compete with Yin Jun in patience. After all, the wicked bead could last for at least 3 months. He did not believe that Yin Jun could stand 3 months of attacks from the immortal's body. Swish! Yin Jun kept hacking at the wicked bead with his relic weapon. In the time for 1 breath, he could make more than 10 cuts. The wicked bead glowed, and the energy was draining fast. Boom, boom, boom. The immortal's body caught up with Yin Jun. He punched at Yin Jun again and again, but every time, he could only push Yin Jun back. Yin Jun turned around and hacked at the wicked bead for more than a dozen times. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 sides were fighting back and forth. Neither wanted to give up. Every time Yin Jun was smashed away, he would move closer to the wicked bead. After a dozen moves, the immortal's body would catch up and push Yin Jun back again. After all, the immortal's body was a corpse. He was not flexible. He could only chase after Yin Jun mechanically. He did not know any tactics. Lu Li could not give orders. He had to let the immortal's body attack Yin Jun himself. Find a way to take the relic weapon from Yin Jun. Lu Li gave an order to the immortal's body through spiritual link. If he could take the relic weapon, Yin Jun would be like a toothless tiger. Apart from his incredible defense, he would be no different from an average warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm. Unfortunately, the immortal's body was not as smart as a living human being. He tried to grab Yin Jun's relic weapon several times, but Yin Jun put the relic weapon into his interspatial ring. The immortal's body just stood there like a machine. He did not know how to attack. Without a soul, the immortal's body was no different from a stone puppet. The immortal's body could only follow Lu Li's orders blindly. Lu Li had to give up after several attempts. He told the immortal's body to keep attacking Yin Jun. As a result, the situation was in a stalemate. Yin Jun kept striking at the wicked bead. He was like a loach dancing around in the sky. The immortal's body could only chase after Yin Jun. Every time, Yin Jun would make more than a dozen moves and then be smashed away by the immortal's body. Yin Jun, are you tired? Do you want to take a break? Lu Li sent the message, hoping to undermine Yin Jun's morale. He said, your attacks are too weak. At this rate, you will not be able to crack the wicked bead in 8 to 10 years. After that, will the divine imperial universe still be Yin Jun? Lu Li could do nothing to Yin Jun. He did not want Yin Jun to go to the heaven reverse universe and kill at will. Lu Li had to find a way to scare Yin Jun away. When Lu Li became an immortal, he would find a way to crack the divine imperial city and wipe out the Yin family. However, Yin Zhen did not mind at all. He sneered, "Lu Li, I have lived for hundreds of years. Don't bother with your little tricks. Even 10,000 years, the divine imperial city still belongs to the Yin family. Nobody can crack it, let alone 10 years. As long as the divine imperial city stands, the divine imperial universe will never fall. Also, are you sure that your wicked bead can last for 8 to 10 years? I don't think it can last for half a year." Yin Zhen was a sly old fox. He picked up a hidden meaning from Lu Li's words. The more Lu Li said the wicked bead was strong, the more confident he was. Yin Zhen was not worried about the divine imperial city at all. The 9 universes were almost at peace now. What happened last time had weakened the 9 universes. Nobody could threaten the divine imperial universe now. Yin Zhen had nothing to worry about since the immortal's body could not crack his relic armor. As long as he could crack the wicked bead, he could kill Lu Li easily. The wicked bead could be taken and the immortal's body could be obtained as well. Yin family would have one more treasure when he took control of the immortal's body. Clearly, Yin Zhen was overthinking. Half a day later, seeing that Yin Zhen was not giving up, Lu Li had to leave. The wicked bead was running out of energy fast. The wicked bead was not as fast as Yin Zhen, but the immortal's body was much faster. Lu Li gave the immortal's body an order. The immortal's body stopped going after Yin Zhen and flew over. The immortal's body grabbed the wicked bead and spread its wings, flying into the distance with the wicked bead. Chapter 11:12. Lu Li told the immortal's body to take him away, but he did not go far. After all, the immortal's body could take him away at any time, and Yin Zhen could not hurt him. He asked you to mobilize subsidiary bodies to keep an eye on Yin Zhen. What Yin Zhen said gave him a headache. This time, Yin Zhen was completely enraged. He wanted to go to the Heaven Reverse Universe to vent his anger and at the same time force Lu Li to compromise. Lu Li tried to come up with a solution. Words could not frighten Yin Zhen. His only option was to kill his way to the divine imperial universe and force Yin Zhen to go back so that they could not cross each other's path. The divine imperial universe was the foundation of the Yin family. If he went to the divine imperial universe and started a massacre, the Yin family would suffer a great loss. One had to know that a super clan didn't just rely on its own people. It also relied on countless clans of various sizes that it attached itself to. For example, of the 4 semi-god realm warriors that Yin Zhen brought with him, 2 were from affiliated families. But there was a problem. It would take Yin Zhen 3 to 5 days to break down the spatial barrier. If Lu Li wanted to go to the divine imperial universe, it would take him more than a dozen days, or even longer. Just because he could go to the prison of gold did not mean that he could go to the divine imperial universe easily. By the time he could go to the divine imperial universe, Yin Zhen would have started a massacre at the Great Land. How efficient would it be for a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm to kill civilians? It would be easy for him to kill over 1,000 cities in a day. 10 days was enough for billions of people to die at the Great Land. Never mind. This is not feasible. Lu Li thought about it and decided not to go to the extreme. Even if he could turn the divine imperial universe into a river of blood and bodies, it would not be worthwhile. Last time, the Great Land had already suffered a great loss. If Yin Zhen went there and killed more innocent people, it would be Lu Li's fault. I have to stall. Lu Li thought of a way, which was to stop Yin Zhen from breaking down the spatial barrier. In that case, he could not go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. No matter how many people Yin Zhen killed in the Waters region, Lu Li would not feel sorry. They were not human beings. Yin Zhen's fault was not Lu Li's. Yin Zhen flew away and stopped from time to time. Clearly, he was looking for a suitable spot to break down the spatial barrier to the Heaven Reverse Universe. Along the way, he used subsidiary bodies were all killed. He must not want Lu Li to know where he was. However, he had too many subsidiary bodies, and wherever a subsidiary body was killed, it meant that she had gone there, and her whereabouts could be easily tracked. Luli followed them in the wicked bead. Though he was not as fast as Yin Jun and the distance between them was growing, Luli did not mind. Yin Jun wanted to break through the barrier between worlds, but it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. After flying for half a day, Yin Jun stopped. He should have found a suitable spot. He took out his divine weapon and started to attack a space. According to Yu's investigation, Yin Jun's attack was similar to Chen Tianxian's. He kept bombarding the space, tearing it apart. He must be trying to break through the space barrier. Luli was not in a hurry when he heard the news. He wanted Yin Jun to be busy for a while, and then he would go and disrupt his plan later so that all his previous efforts would be in vain. Luli flew the wicked bead over slowly. It took him 10 hours to arrive at the place. He let out the immortal's body and controlled it to fly forward in a straight line. Luli himself followed in the wicked bead. Boom, boom, boom. Soon, Luli heard some noises of explosion. Luli used psychic power to check on Yin Jun. Yin Jun was blasting into space. It was a magnificent scene. Immortal's body, go and attack him, Luli ordered. The immortal's body dashed over in a blur. Soon, he was near Yin Jun. What? When Luli used psychic power to check, Yin Jun had already noticed it. When he looked over, he saw the immortal's body approaching quickly. Yin Jun was fuming with rage. To break down the spatial barrier, he had to blast at the space constantly. If he stopped, the space would close up automatically. In that case, the several hours he had spent would be wasted. Boom! The immortal's body was fast. While Yin Jun was distracted, the immortal's body had already landed a punch on him. Yin Jun was smashed away for hundreds of feet. Luli, F***CKU. Yin Jun was hundreds of years old. It was rare for him to swear. This time, however, he could not hold back his anger. He watched as the space closed up quickly, but there was nothing he could do. The immortal's body was coming again. Given his speed, Yin Jun could not dodge. He swung the relic weapon and hacked at the immortal's body. Boom! The immortal's body was knocked back for hundreds of feet. At the same time, Yin Jun was knocked back by the counterforce. The black hole he created was closing up quickly. Boom, boom, boom. The immortal's body kept coming. Yin Jun did not have the time to blast at the black hole. He could only watch as the black hole disappeared. Yin Jun had wasted 10 hours. Okay, immortal's body, we're done. Let's go. Luli's voice came from the distance. Yin Jun was so angry that he almost spat out blood. Yin Jun wanted to go after Luli, but the immortal's body flew away quickly and vanished into the distance with the wicked bead. Yin Jun cursed, but there was nothing he could do. He could only smash a nearby mountain into pieces. He stood in the air for a while. His head was aching. He realized that he was in a difficult position. 4 semi-god realm warriors had died, and the Yin family had suffered a great loss. Yin Jun could not vent his anger. If he were to leave like this, he would not be able to forgive himself. When he returned to the divine imperial universe, he and the Yin family would be disgraced, not to mention that he would not be able to forgive himself. Last time, when the families made a scene in the divine imperial universe, the Yin family would come again. What else could Yin Jun do if he did not leave? Every time Yin Jun tried to break down spatial barriers, Luli would send the immortal's body to make trouble, which would make Yin Jun's previous efforts go to waste. Yin Jun could not get back at Luli if he could not go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. At the same time, he could not make Luli yield. Was he going to stay in the Waters region forever? Or was he going to kill everyone in the Waters region? The thing was, they were not Luli's people. Killing them all would not hurt Luli one bit. After much deliberation, Yin Jun decided to go to the Heaven Reverse Universe. First, he flew to the distance. After flying for tens of millions of miles, he found a spot and stopped. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He kept releasing Xian energy to kill all of Yu's subsidiary bodies nearby. His psychic power was strong. He could detect those subsidiary bodies easily. Standing on a mountain, Yin Jun took out many formation stones and placed them in the mountains nearby. In a moment, a formation of illusion appeared out of nowhere. The view changed. From the distance, Yin Jun seemed to have vanished into thin air. Yin Jun was still not satisfied with the formation of illusion. He took out some animal bones with strange patterns. Those were not regular animal bones. They were the bones of mythical beasts given by Yin Tiangang. The bones had strange powers and could be used to build a powerful formation. But he had used the animal bones many times. The more he used, the greater the loss. He did not want to use them unless it was absolutely necessary. Yin Jun had run out of options. If the formation could last a few days, he could go to the heaven reverse universe. By then, Luli would be the one to worry. Chapter 11:13. All of a sudden, Luli was taken aback by Hiyu's information. How could a person vanish for no reason? He must have used some skills to teleport to other places or use some other skills or inhibition formations to hide. Luli asked Hiyu about the recent situation and ordered, "Move your subsidiary bodies to that area. Make sure that no corner is left out." Okay. Hiyu mobilized her subsidiary bodies at once, while Luli flew over in the wicked bead. Yin Jun had only cleared the subsidiary bodies within a radius of hundreds of miles. Soon, Hiyu sent many subsidiary bodies over. Soon, she noticed something was wrong. Hiyu said after a while, he must have set up a high-level formation of illusion. There is another formation inside that my subsidiary bodies cannot go in. Formation? Luli was alarmed. Formations were the most complicated and profound things. If it was just the Yin family's formation, it would not be a problem. What he was afraid of was the formation passed down by Yin Tiangang. Send a message to Kamang. Tell him to come to the waters region at once. Luli said, if he could not crack the formation, he could ask Kamang to find a way. It would take some time for Kamang to come, and it might be too late. But it was always good to be prepared. The wicked bead flew over quickly. A moment later, Hiyu reported again. Yin Jun is in there. The space is trembling. I think the formation must have broken down the spatial barrier. Sure, Luli was relieved. As long as Yin Jun did not go missing for no reason, everything would be fine. He only needed to figure out a way to crack the formation. Without the protection of the formation, Yin Jun could not break down the spatial barrier and enter the heaven reverse universe. A distance of tens of millions of miles was not a long distance. Luli arrived in a couple of hours. He used psychic power at once. After a while, he noticed some slight fluctuation of illusion. Formations of illusion were easy to crack. The difficulty lay in the formation inside. Since Yin Jun had set up a formation, he would not waste his efforts. The formation must be impressive. Immortal's body out. Luli let the immortal's body out, and then he himself went out with 100 stone golems. Dig up this mountain for me. Luli ordered the stone golems. 100 stone golems dashed down and began to blast to the mountain. Luli did not know how to crack the formation with skills. He had to resort to the simplest method to crack the formation with force. The illusion array itself had no defensive power. As long as this huge mountain range was flattened, the array stones would naturally be destroyed and the illusion array would be broken. Boom, boom, boom. The stone man didn't know any divine powers or secret techniques, so he could only use the most violent force to bombard the mountain range. Each of the stone golems was as powerful as a semi-god realm cultivator. How could a normal mountain withstand them? In the blink of an eye, countless mountain peaks were blasted to the point of collapse, and large pits were smashed into the ground. Rumbling sounds rang out incessantly. Smoke and dust swept up like earth dragons. It was a shocking scene. It didn't take too long. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the mountain range below flashed and the illusion array disappeared. It was likely that some of the array stones had been destroyed and the illusion array couldn't hold on any longer. Soon, Luli noticed a mountain with psychic power which was enveloped by a dark sphere of light. The inside of the sphere of light was pitch black and nothing could be seen. All Chanfeng could sense was the intense spatial fluctuations coming from within. There was a faint glow and runes glistening on the black sphere of light. Needless to say, this formation was powerful. Luli frowned, feeling the situation was getting tricky. Stone golems hit the black shield. Luli ordered the stone golems to have a go. 100 stone golems turned into black lights and rushed forward, attacking the black light barrier from all directions. Boom, 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 muffled noises were heard. That black shield didn't seem to tremble. Only the faintly discernible golden runes were glowing. What worried Luli the most had happened. This formation was not created by the Yin family. It was passed down from the divinity by Yin Tiangang. It was a formation from the divinity. Immortal's body go. Luli ordered the Immortal's body. The Immortal's body's attack was stronger than the 100 stone golems put together. If the Immortal's body could not crack the formation, then it would be a serious matter. Whoosh! The Immortal's body spread his wings and flew over. A stone golem was in his way. The Immortal's body did not know how to be flexible. He smashed into the stone golem and smashed it away. Swish! When he was close to the shield, the Immortal's body swung his arm and then punched forward. There was no glow on his golden fist. However, the speed was so fast that it created a deafening noise. Bang! With a muffled sound, the entire shield glowed in a dark light. All the faintly discernible golden runes came out and wandered around on the black shield. The runes exuded an indescribable aura, giving off a mysterious and unpredictable feeling. It really is a formation from the divinity. Luli used psychic power to check. The shield only trembled slightly. His mind was weighed down. The Immortal's body could crush a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm in one punch. How come he could not crack a formation? This formation must have been passed down by Yin Tiangang. Go on. What else could Luli do when the Immortal's body could not crack it? He had to ask the Immortal's body and the stone golems to keep attacking. Any formation would require energy. 100 stone golems would be equivalent to 100 semi-god realm warriors. Together with the Immortal's body, who was powerful, any formation from the divinity should be cracked. Boom, 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 boom. The Immortal's body and the stone golems kept attacking. Luli used psychic power to check if the black shield was going to crack. Unfortunately, it had been 6 hours. Not only was the black shield not cracked, but there was no change. When the stone golems attacked, the golden runes would only glow. When the Immortal's body attacked, the shield would tremble. Nothing had changed. This is getting out of hand. As time went on, Luli became more and more anxious. Inside the shield, Yin Zhen had been attacking the space. In a few days, once the spatial tunnel was formed and he arrived at the Heaven Reverse Universe, it would be a disaster for the Heaven Reverse Universe. Judging by Yin Zhen's attitude, he would not talk about anything when he arrived at the Heaven Reverse Universe. He would kill to vent his anger first. I should have relocated all the civilians of the Heaven Reverse Universe to the prison of wood. Luli regretted. He had thought about this before, but it was too troublesome. Many civilians were not warriors. Teleportation formations could not be used continuously. What was more, the temperature in the inferno was high. Some of the elderly and children might not be able to stand it. What was more, Luli had the Immortal's body. Killing warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm was as easy as slaughtering livestock. Therefore, Luli did not worry too much. Kamang could not come over anytime soon. Luli could not integrate the map of fundamental principle for several days. The Immortal's body was only so strong. For a moment, Luli did not know what to do. Cultivate. Luli forced himself to calm down. After all, the Immortal's body and the stone golems could keep attacking without his control. It was pointless for him to stay and watch. He would be fine. Chapter 11:14. The beast bones formed by the formation came from a powerful beast in the divinity. After the beast bones died, a mighty warrior in the divinity took control of them and used them to build a strong defensive formation. Yin Tiangang wanted to use the Immortal's bone for himself. Later on, he acquired an even more powerful relic. Therefore, he gave the divine imperial city and the Immortal's bone to Yin Tiangang at a great cost. Over the course of history, the Immortal's bone had helped many talented disciples of the Yin family survive several disasters. Though the energy in the Immortal's bone was almost depleted, the Immortal's bone had made a great contribution. In 3 days, the 100 stone golems and the immortal's body kept attacking. Even the defensive formation of the demon-slaying city should have been cracked. Still, there was no sign of the formation cracking. Luli had been cultivating for 3 days without waking up. He sensed that the space inside the black shield was trembling more violently. She knew that the spatial passageway was about to take shape. She sighed. She did not know what Luli was doing, but it was impossible for him to make such rapid progress in 3 days. This was not a child's play. The higher one's realm was, the harder it was to make progress. Boom! Half a day later, there came a muffled sound from inside the black shield. Then, the trembling in space disappeared. Nothing happened inside. Finally, Kiyu could not stand it anymore. She pushed Luli. What is it? For Luli, who was cultivating, 3.5 days felt like an instant. He opened his eyes all of a sudden. Kiyu said bitterly, Lord, Yinjin must have opened up the spatial passageway. A glint of coldness rose in Luli's eyes. He used psychic power to check. There was no more movement inside the shield. Yinjin must have made it. Buzzing, not long afterward, the black shield suddenly glared. Then, the dark air disappeared, and all the dark air surged into the strange beast bones. Yinjin grabbed the beast bones and dashed into a black hole. Oh no! Luli trembled at this. Yinjin had entered the heaven reverse universe, but he had gained nothing in the 3.5 days. It was not easy to integrate the map of fundamental principle. If he was unlucky, he might not be able to do it in 3 or 3 decades, let alone 3 days. The black shield was gone. The immortal's body and the stone golems were floating in the air. Luli's order was to attack the black shield. Now that the shield was broken, they naturally stopped. Go! Without much time to think, Luli dashed out of the wicked bead. He put away the stone golems and went back into the wicked bead. The immortal's body took the bead and dashed into the black hole. After a glare, Luli used psychic power to check at once. His face grew cold, because he found that he wasn't in the Eastern Ocean land, but the divine Great Land, Yinzhou. Luli once heard from Chun Tianxian that when it came to breaking down spatial barriers, different points could lead to different places. However, he didn't expect that Yinzhun would be so lucky to arrive at Yinzhou of the divine Great Land. Luli had thought that after Yinzhun went to the eastern land of oceans, she would have to go to the demon-slaying city and then the Great Land. It would take time to break through the spatial barrier twice in a row. He still had time to think of a solution. Now, Yinjin came directly to the divine Great Land. Although it was Yinzhou, it was not the most populated central plains, but it was still a big problem. Boom! From the distance came a shocking noise. Luli used psychic power to check and happened to see dust rising from a city. The city at the peak of the mountain collapsed with a loud bang, and the entire huge mountain fell to the ground with a loud bang. There were some human warriors around the mountain. They screamed in terror when they saw the mountain collapsing and the city being destroyed. Because in that city were their clans, their relatives, and now all of them had been killed. Devil, how dare you massacre a city? I will kill you. Who are you? How dare you massacre a city at the Clouds Plains? When Grandmaster Lu learns about this, you will die for sure. Let's fight against this devil. Grandmaster Lu will avenge us even if we die. Several people shouted. Several Fate Wheel Realm warriors shouted and flew up to the sky on their fate wheels. Ha ha ha. In the distance, there was a small dot in purple armor. He was insufferably arrogant. His chi and energy were so strong that the several Fate Wheel Realm warriors on the ground trembled. Pointing to Lu Li's direction, he said, Your Grandmaster Lu is over there. Tell him to come and kill me. Ha ha ha. He waved his sleeve and a gust of wind blew over. The several Fate Wheel Realm warriors were smashed away and rolled towards Lu Li. Boom. Before the Fate Wheel Realm warriors could reach Lu Li, they were smashed to the ground. All of them had been jolted to death. Their eyes were wide open, and their eyes were filled with hatred and fear. Whoosh! Lu Li could not sit still any longer. He flew the wicked bead toward Yin Zhun and shouted, Yin Zhun, you're the family patriarch of the most powerful family in the 9 universes, the family patriarch of the Yin family, the most powerful warrior in the 9 universes. How shameless can you be to kill these lowly civilians? Yinjun sneered. His facial expression did not change. He had lived for hundreds of years. How shrewd he was. How could a few words from Lu Li affect his mind? Looking at the wicked bee that was getting closer, Yinjun sneered and said, Lu Li, in this world, only the strong are respected. Dignity is not given, but earned with one's own fists. So what if the world laughs at us? If anyone dares to laugh at us, just kill them. History is always rewritten by the victors. What is more, I never pay attention to this. Follow me and see how I kill all the civilians of the Heaven Reverse universe. Whoosh! With that said, Yinjun said nothing more to Lu Li. He flew into the distance in a blur. Lu Li turned pale. While telling the immortal's body to go after Yinjun with the wicked bead, he said to Hiyu, send a message to nearby cities and evacuate the people. Also, send a message to my great-grandpa. Tell him to relocate human disciples to the deserted world. Now, this time, Lu Li was panicking. He was scared. His heart was trembling at the thought of the few humans that died in front of him. They were alive a moment ago, but in the blink of an eye, they had become corpses. The tens of thousands of civilians in that small city were living a good life. Many families were living in harmony. Many children were growing up happily. The elderly were enjoying their old age. But all of a sudden, they suffered an unexpected misfortune. They were killed in an instant, and not even their bodies were left behind. Yinjun was fast. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, he had covered thousands of miles. Ahead of him was a medium-sized city. The city master of that city must have received the message from Hiyu's subsidiary body and had begun to evacuate the people in the city. Hiyu's subsidiary body could not speak, but she could write. All the city masters had received the order. The order from Hiyu's subsidiary body was Lu Li's order and must be carried out at once. Therefore, as soon as Hiyu gave the order, the city master organized everyone in the city to flee to all directions. However, there were too many civilians in the city. Many of them were civilians, and they could not bear to part with their valuables and belongings. Yinjun was fast. Half of the people were still in the city. Bang, bang, bang. The immortal's body chased after Yinjun. Unfortunately, Yinjun had the relic armor. No matter how hard the immortal's body attacked, the armor could not be cracked. Yinjun didn't even bother to attack the immortal's body. He flew all the way to the city. Looking at the fleeing crowd, Yinjun laughed. Lu Li, take a good look. See how your people are implicated and die because of you. Swish, swish, Yinjun did not use any powerful skills. He just generated a hand with a diameter of more than 1,000 feet and smashed it down. Boom, boom, boom. The hand smashed down with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. All the humans in it were smashed into pieces. Who could survive an attack from a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm? It was as if a group of ants were running away and a man was stepping on them. Dozens of hands smashed down. The city had turned into hell on earth. Chapter 11:15. This was a middle-sized city with a population of over 400,000. Including the army, the total population was about 500,000. Over 200,000 people were left in the city, and over 200,000 people were fleeing outside the city. Yinjun casually threw out some giant palm silhouettes, and the city was flattened. Over half of those who were fleeing outside the city were killed as well. In other words, in such a short time, 400,000 people were killed under Lu Li's nose. They were smashed into pieces and buried underground. In front of Lu Li, the ground was covered with shocking handprints that were hundreds of feet deep into the ground. The ground was tainted red with blood. Broken limbs and internal organs were everywhere. It was no different from hell. Phew. Lu Li's breaths were short. His eyes were turning red. Veins were popping out on his face. He was filled with killing intent. He seemed to have turned into a ferocious beast. Last time, when warriors of the 9 universes invaded, tens of millions died at the Great Land. But none of them died in front of Lu Li. They were just numbers, not something that could be directly felt. Lu Li had seen death before. He had been through many battles and witnessed the death of many warriors. That being said, those were all warriors. Few were civilians. Now, many unarmed civilians could only watch helplessly as they were smashed to death. while Luli saw a kid of 3 or 4 years old next to a pit. His mother was killed trying to protect him. At the moment, the kid was grabbing his mother, whose face was covered in blood, and crying. He wiped his tears while crying. His own face was covered in blood as well. The Almighty Emperor of Heaven reverse, please open your eyes. Your people are suffering. Please punish this demon and kill him. The great Grandmaster Lu, where are you? Please help your people. Some of the surviving old warriors knelt on the ground and prayed to the north in fear. They were hunched over, trembling. Their faces were filled with fear and despair. They were not warriors. There was nothing they could do except pray and wait for death. Emperor of Heaven reverse could not hear their prayers. Even if he could, there was nothing he could do. Emperor of Heaven reverse could not even protect himself. What could he do even if he could? Luli, the spokesperson of Emperor of Heaven reverse, the Grand Master of the demon-slaying hall, was here. However, just like those old men, there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as his people were being slaughtered wantonly by Yin Zhen. Rush out? There was no meaning to it other than throwing away one's life. Would Yin Zhen spare the Heaven Reverse universe, even if he died? Last time, so many warriors of the 9 universes had passed away. If Luli were to die, more warriors would come soon. Destroy the Heaven Reverse universe and avenge the warriors of the 9 universes? Ka ka ka. Luli gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He was like a beast that was tied up. One wrong move, and he might break free from the chains, roaring and rushing out. Sir, calm down. He said, if Luli died, she would not survive either. Her interests were closely related to Luli. Naturally, she didn't want Luli to die. Bang! Luli smashed his hands on the ground and knelt down. His head was down, and his face was full of remorse and guilt. If it were not for him, why would the 9 universes pay attention to the Heaven Reverse universe? Why would warriors of the 9 universes come to the Heaven Reverse universe? Why would so many civilians die? Ha ha ha! Luli heard a deafening laugh. Clearly, the laughter was amplified by Xian energy, so that it could be heard from an area with a radius of hundreds of miles. Yin Zhen shouted, Luli, you coward! Your people are being slaughtered, and you can only hide in the wicked bead like a coward. Can't you hear that your people are praying to you? Ha ha ha, Luli, just wait and see. I will wipe out the entire human race of the Heaven Reverse universe. Whoosh! With that said, Yin Zhen paid no more attention to Lu Li and the immortal's body. Even though the immortal's body was chasing after him, Yin Zhen paid no attention and flew into the distance. This time, Luli did not go after Yin Zhen in the wicked bead. He still knelt in the wicked bead in a daze. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were red. His face was ferocious, like that of a ghost. He stood next to him, afraid to go closer for fear that she would be killed by Lu Li in a fit of rage. She did not dare to say anything. She had been with Lu Li for some time and had some understanding of his character. Lu Li's realm was high, but he was not old. He was not as insensitive as those older warriors. Instead, he valued friendship and was courageous. He was the most powerful warrior of the Heaven Reverse universe, the Grand Master of the demon-slaying hall. He must have regarded all humans as his people. Now, his people were being killed one by one. Yet, he could not fight back. There was nothing he could do. He could only kneel here, blaming himself and acting like a coward. It was not hard to imagine how painful he was. Boom! In the time for dozens of breaths, he heard a loud noise coming from the distance. You had subsidiary bodies nearby. She could see what was going on. There was a small city over there. Needless to say, that city was destroyed and tens of thousands of people were killed. What to do? What to do? What to do? Luli felt his mind was about to explode. As time went on, more and more people would die. His mind was burning with anxiety. He was occupied by anger and grievance. It was as if he could not think at this moment. The only thing on his mind was what to do. Go out? Then he would have to die. The Heaven Reverse universe could not be saved. If he did not go out, the cities of the Heaven Reverse universe would be destroyed one by one. More and more people would be killed. Those people were innocent. They had hands and feet, flesh and blood. They could think, They had families and friends. They were living people. They should be living a comfortable and happy life. But now, they were deprived of the right to live innocently. Calm down, calm down. Luli rubbed his face to force himself to calm down. The more confused he was, the worse the situation would be. He thought about it for a moment and flew away in the wicked bead. After flying for a short while, he saw a small city that had collapsed in front of him. This small city had been blasted to the point that not a single castle was intact. Broken limbs were everywhere in the city. Tens of thousands of people were killed. Only a few hundred were lucky enough to survive. Or maybe Yinjun left them alive on purpose. The few hundred were either screaming in pain or crying with their families' bodies in their arms. Luli used psychic power to check. Once again, he felt pain in his heart. He covered his chest, feeling suffocated. He almost spat out some blood. He could not bear to look. He used psychic power to check and flew into the distance at once. He pointed him in the right direction. Yinjun was fast. That being said, he would stop from time to time to kill. He would not let go of any tribes he passed by. He would stop and slap at them. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Luli finally caught up with Yinjun. Along the way, Luli saw 4 tribes and a small city being massacred. At the moment, Yinjun was attacking a big city. Chapter 11:16. Boom, boom, boom. After Yinjun arrived, he did not say a single word. Instead, he sent out a huge palm strike towards the city gate. Outside the city, many civilians were fleeing. They didn't have any martial arts. They couldn't even run at a high speed, let alone fly. There were so many people that they had to swarm out in rows. The city gate was only so big. They couldn't rush out at once. Therefore, when the huge hand with a diameter of more than 1,000 feet smashed down, the thousands of people squeezed together were smashed into pieces. The horrifying energy and momentum smashed away and killed many people nearby. The city was in a mess. Many people were crying and screaming, running around like sheep being attacked by hungry wolves. Many soldiers and martial artists in the city flew out and surrounded Yinjun. The city had a large army and some powerful warriors. Of course, the most powerful one was at the human sovereign realm. There were some at the noble lord realm and many at the eternal realm. They received Hiyu's message and learned that there was an invasion. Therefore, they sent away the civilians and young disciples. That being said, the city was where the branch of the Jackal family settled down. Therefore, many patriarchs stayed and were ready to defend the city. What realm was Yinjun at? Those at the eternal realm or the noble lord realm didn't know. Not even the only human sovereign realm warrior in the city could sense it. That being said, no matter how powerful the warrior was, the patriarchs were ready to risk their lives and die with the city when he was here to destroy their city and kill their disciples. Yinjun snorted when he saw the swarm of warriors flying toward him. He waved his hands, and the xian-qi of heaven and earth swarmed toward him from all directions. Countless long arrows formed by xian-qi were condensed in front of him. He waved his hand and shouted, "Go!" Whoosh, whoosh. Tens of thousands of arrows flew out, covering the sky and covering the earth, enveloping the entire space in front of them. Moreover, their speed was too fast. The warriors in front of them could not dodge at all. Bang, bang, bang. Unsurprisingly, the Xian energy attack of a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm was overwhelming. Even a group of Earth Immortal Realm warriors could be killed, not to mention the fact that the most powerful ones were at the human sovereign realm. Many warriors were hit by the Xian energy arrows in midair and exploded into a mist of blood like fireworks. Even the warrior at the human sovereign realm was easily killed. Myriad swords formation descend. Yinjun waved his hands and once again gathered countless heaven and earth xian-qi, forming many divine weapons in midair. Jiang Yi's hands pressed downwards as countless long swords rained down like a torrential downpour, covering a radius of several kilometers. Below them were densely packed commoners who were fleeing for their lives. "Stop!" Luli happened to see this when he flew over. He yelled in anger. 10,000 swords descended, and the people below were pierced through. Even though the scene was shocking, it was even more shocking. Ha ha! Yinjin laughed out loud, but he did not stop. Once again, he began to generate more Xian energy swords. Looking at the wicked bead in a mocking manner, Yinjin said, "Impatient? Lu Li, this is just the beginning. Don't worry. Soon, you will see dead bodies everywhere in the cities. The entire Heaven Reverse universe will be filled with the stench of corpses. The earth will be dyed red with blood, the rivers will be blood red, and corpses will be strewn everywhere. That scene will definitely be spectacular." Phew, phew. Taking a deep breath, Lu Li forced himself to calm down and said, "Yinjun, we can talk. Killing these low-level civilians will only make you more sinful. It will not bring you any practical benefits." "Talk." Yinjun snorted. "I wanted to talk to you before. What did you do? Do you know the pain I felt when you killed Brother Six and the others? You have no idea. So, I will let you have a good taste of it." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With that said, Yinjun pressed his hand down. The Xian energy swords rained down like rain. Not far away, a group of people were shrouded by the swords. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions were heard everywhere. Every Xian energy sword could cause an explosion in a small area. The civilians nearby could not stand such a horrifying explosion. They died one after another. Go! Yinjun condensed a few more large palms and slammed them towards the city in front of them. Castle after castle was destroyed, and countless residents were buried alive. The city in front of them once again became a purgatory. Bang, bang, bang. The immortal's body was still chasing after Yinjun, but Yinjun treated the immortal's body as a fly. Every time, the immortal's body would only be smashed away for hundreds of feet. "Yinjun," Lu Li bellowed, "fine. Go ahead and kill them. Do whatever you want. I will go to the prison of gold from the purgatory of primordial chaos and then to the divine imperial universe. Let's see who can kill faster, you or me. If I cannot kill all the civilians of the divine imperial universe, I will change my surname to Yin." Eh? Yinjun was surprised. Soon, he sneered and said, "Go, go. But you must be able to enter the divine imperial universe." Ha ha ha. Lu Li snorted. "Do you think I cannot go to the divine imperial universe? There are 3 entrances connecting the divine imperial universe to the prison of gold, right? 2 are public and 1 is hidden. You can seal off all 3 entrances. Do you believe that I can find someone to break down spatial barriers?" Ha ha ha. Yinjin laughed. "You're talking about Chun Tianxian. Do you think I don't know? Chun Tianxian is your soul slave, isn't he? I can tell you clearly that I have reinforced the 3 entrances with formations. It will take Chun Tianxian at least 10 years to break them down. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try." "What?" Lu Li was shocked. Chun Tianxian's story was a secret. How did Yinjin know? Could it be that Jun Hongya heard something before he left? 10 years? Lu Li felt helpless. It would take Chun Tianxian 10 years to break down spatial barriers. Even if nothing happened, Chun Tianxian would be exhausted to death, not to mention that he might change his mind in the middle of the journey. Attacking the same place for 10 years without stopping or all the previous efforts would be in vain. Lu Li felt frustrated just thinking about it. Ha ha ha. Yinjin laughed out loud. While he was killing, he said delightedly, "Lu Li, do you really think that the divine imperial universe has been in the hands of the Yin family for 1,000,000 years and that we have nothing to rely on? You have underestimated the Yin family. Since I dared to come to the Heaven Reverse universe in person, I have thought of many ways to retreat and I have made preparations. So if you want to go to the divine imperial universe, go ahead. You can play and I will kill." Ha ha. Ha. Ha boom, boom, boom. Yinjin laughed heartily as he slaughtered his enemies without any scruples. In the Waters region, Lu Li killed 4 semi-god realm warriors of the Yin family. Yinjin was filled with agony. Finally, he could vent some of his anger. The city had a population of 2 million. Some had escaped, and some had been sent away. Still, there were at least 1.5 million left. Half of the 1 million had been killed or injured by Yinjin. Witnessing the death of his people, Luli bellowed in rage from inside the wicked bead. His bellows were filled with anger, frustration, and sorrow. His eyes were redder and redder, and the killing intent was growing stronger. Chapter 11:17. Soon, a large city was reduced to ruins. More than half of the 1 million people were killed, and the remaining people either hid nearby or fled in different directions. Yinjun was not in the mood to go after them one by one. He flew into the distance, showing no intention to negotiate with Lu Li. The Great Land had a large population. A conservative estimate would be at least several trillion. Therefore, Yinjun planned to kill hundreds of millions to vent his anger before he negotiated with Lu Li. If Lu Li was unwilling to negotiate, then Yinjun would not mind wiping out the entire Great Land. Whoosh! The immortal's body flew away. Lu Li followed in the wicked bead in a daze. He was still kneeling on the ground. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes were bloodshot. His face was filled with helplessness and grievance. He had reached the breaking point. He did not even have the courage to use psychic power, because he couldn't bear to see the corpses all over the ground. He couldn't bear to see those innocent children being strangled. He couldn't bear to see those people wailing as they hugged the corpses of their loved ones. He couldn't bear to see those injured elders howling in pain. The wicked bead was much slower than Yinjun. Soon, Yinjun left Lu Li behind. After flying for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he once again saw small cities that had been destroyed and corpses littered the ground. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Li grabbed his hair and kept asking himself. For every hour that passed, hundreds of thousands of people would die. The Clouds Plains was densely populated with tribes and cities. Yinjun's speed of flying and killing was too fast. I am the one who harmed them. I am the Grand Master of the demon-slaying hall of the Heaven Reverse Universe. Not only did I fail to protect them, but I have also implicated them. They should not die. I am the one who should die. This thought crossed Lu Li's mind. For several times, he almost dashed out to fight Yinjun to the death. But reason stopped him. 3 hours later, the wicked bead arrived at the city. When Lu Li saw that Yinjun was turning the city into ruins and was about to turn 2 to 3 million people into corpses, he could not sit still anymore. He yelled, "Yinjun, stop. Let's talk. You want the wicked bead?" "Sure." Lu Li could not stand it anymore. The wicked bead was precious, but compared to the lives of the innocent civilians, it was just a piece of treasure. If the treasures were lost, they could think a way to get them back. However, these people could not be resurrected after they died. Yinjun was still in the middle of his slaughter. Hearing Lu Li's words, he stopped and said in a mocking tone, "What? Can't take it anymore? How did you get to where you are today with such a weak mentality? How many people had died? All right, since you are so sensible, I will do you a favor and hand over the wicked bead. I will go back to the divine imperial universe at once. I will not kill another person of the Heaven Reverse Universe." Lu Li wanted a compromise, but he was not stupid enough to hand over the wicked bead at once. He said coldly, "No. You go back to the Waters region. No, to a place near the divine imperial universe. I will go with you. I will give you the wicked bead then. What if you take the wicked bead and continue your slaughter?" Hee hee. Yinjun smiled faintly. After that, he condensed a huge palm and slammed it down. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Many castles in the city collapsed. Tens of thousands of humans were killed in an instant. He looked at Lu Li with a sneer and said, "Lu Li, don't talk terms with me. You don't have a right. You have no choice. Are you going to give it to me or not? Just say the word." With that said, Yinjun generated another palm, ready to slam down at any time. Lu Li closed his eyes in pain and yelled, "Stop. I will give you the wicked bead." "You cannot." From a distance came an angry shout. Then, from the north came several people. At the front was an old acquaintance of Lu Li, Hu Lang. This area was under the influence of the Silver Wolf Mountain. The Silver Wolf Mountain was Hu Lang's territory. Many cities here belonged to the Hu family. Hu Lang had received news that powerful warriors were slaughtering his family people. Though he knew he could not stop them, he still had to come. He had been hiding nearby. Hearing Lu Li's roar, Hu Lang could no longer sit still. He rushed out with others. Though he was heartbroken to see those people die, if Lu Li was killed by Yin Zhen because of those people giving up the wicked bead, that would not be a disaster for the Cloud's Plains, but for the entire Heaven Reverse universe. Hu Lang was Lu Ling's sole slave. Even though she was nowhere to be found, she was still his master. Therefore, Hu Lang had always regarded Lu Li as his master. What was more, Lu Li had helped the human race survive many disasters. The Heaven Reverse universe could live without people of the Cloud's Plains, but not without Lu Li. Hu Lang flew over with several powerful warriors of his family. He shouted, "Young master, you cannot give us the wicked bead. If he wants to kill us, then let him do it. It doesn't matter if we die, but you cannot suffer any loss. Otherwise, the Heaven Reverse universe will be doomed. Brothers, let's fight this demon to the death. Let's fight this demon to the death." Hu Lang flew over with several human sovereign realm warriors. All of them shouted at the top of their lungs. Their voices were loud enough to be heard in an area with a radius of 30 miles. Many people in the city felt their eardrums hurt. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the city, warriors and warriors were in a mess. However, somehow, they were relieved when they saw Hu Lang. Hu Lang was the master of the Silver Wolf Mountain, the overlord of this area. Fight! Many warriors shouted at the same time. They stopped running and flew up. In their eyes, they were ready to die. Hu Lang's words reminded them that they could not let Lu Li fall into danger because of them. It would be a great loss for the Heaven Reverse universe if Lu Li died. Yinjin snorted. He generated tens of thousands of Xian energy arrows. With a wave of his hand, the transparent arrows flew out and pierced the warriors to death. Bang, bang, bang. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of soldiers had been killed. However, the soldiers and martial artists below and in the vicinity continued to charge up endlessly. Clearly, they were here to court death. They didn't want Lu Li to be threatened by Yin Zhen because of them. Therefore, they would rather die. No, no, no. Lu Li sensed with psychic power that one by one turned into a mist of blood and exploded in midair. Looking at the determined eyes and the determined faces, Lu Li felt his heart was bleeding. He was consumed by rage. He felt his soul was about to explode. All of a sudden, Lu Li stopped kneeling. He stood up and bellowed into the sky. His messy white hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes turned blood red. The killing intent around him was so intense that Yu felt suffocated. At that moment, Yu felt that Lu Li was no longer the gentle young man or the handsome young man. Instead, he had turned into a killer, a demon from hell. Buzzing, Lu Li dashed out from the wicked bead. He unsheathed Cold Blade, and the dragon armor appeared. He was filled with killing intent. His blood-red eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. One look at him would make people tremble with fear. Charge, charge, charge. Die, die, die. Lu Li bellowed and dashed on with Cold Blade in his hand. He could think of nothing else. All he could see was Yin Zhen. His soul was occupied by one thought. Chapter 11:18. What? As soon as Lu Li came out, he caught many people's attention. Hu Lang had reached the Earth Immortal realm, and he had a quasi-relic armor. Even though he was smashed away by Yin Zhen and was badly injured, he was not killed right away. When Hu Lang saw Lu Li, he yelled in shock, "Young master, don't be rash." Some human sovereign realm warriors were taken aback as well. They did not know many things, but they believed Lu Li was not a match for Yin Zhen. Otherwise, he would not have allowed Yin Zhen to kill so many warriors and would even give up the wicked bead. When Lu Li came out, he seemed to have lost his mind. Clearly, Lu Li had come out to court death. Lu Li enjoyed a high prestige in the Heaven Reverse universe, second only to the Emperor of Heaven Reverse. He had won the respect of many. Many people were frightened to see Lu Li coming out to court death. Yin Zhen laughed. Lu Li was young and hot-blooded. He could not hold it in any longer. Yin Zhen despised Lu Li's foolish action. Those were just some civilians, not Lu Li's family or relatives. For Yin Zhen, It did not matter how many died. Well done, Luli. Finally, you're no longer a coward. You have guts. Yinjun did not take action at once. Instead, he continued to kill the warriors. With a relic armor, not even the immortal's body could do anything to him. How could a semi-god realm warrior like Luli pose a threat to him? Yinjun wanted to have a good time, to make Luli lose all hope and then kill him. This was the only way to vent his anger. The Yin family had lost 4 semi-god realm warriors and was greatly weakened. Yinjun would not be satisfied if he could not get back at Luli. Die, die, die. Luli bellowed as he flew over. He seemed to have lost his mind and was in a state of rage. He ignored the shouts of Hu Lang and the others. He dashed over like a ferocious tiger and hacked at Yinjun from the distance with his saber. Swish, a shocking blade radiance whizzed out from Lung Feng's blade, tearing cracks in the sky. The cracks spread out and landed heavily on Yinjun. It was just that such a gorgeous attack was only good to look at, but it was useless. Yinjun did not even try to dodge. He let the ray of sword light come at him. His purple armor glowed, and he was not smashed away. Ha ha ha. Yinjun sneered. Luli's attack was weak. He was no different from an average semi-god realm warrior. Without the immortal's body and the wicked bead, Luli was nothing. Feather Wind Castle. Luli built the Feather Wind Castle to envelop Yinjun. There was no one around her now. They had all been killed or smashed away. Insignificant skill. After the Feather Wind Castle enveloped Yinjun, streaks of golden light came out from his neck. Following that, many golden pythons came out and slithered all over the sky. In an instant, the Feather Wind Castle collapsed. Feather Wind Weapon, profound meaning of wind beam, profound meaning of tornado, profound meaning of wind malice. Luli waved his hands. Wind gathered around him. Then tornadoes came into being and tried to envelop Yinjun. There was an invisible wind that bound Yinjun. The tornado carried strong soul attacks. Luli used all kinds of means, trying his best to kill Yinjun. Rising Dragon. Luli also used his bloodline skill. At the same time, he flew over like a breeze and approached Yinjun. He swung the cold saber and smashed at Yinjun's head. He had used the soul-shattering skill. This skill was domineering. It could send energy and soul attacks into the enemy's soul pond or bead of life, regardless of the external defense. You are at your wit's end. Are you going to fight without any clothes on? Yinjun could have destroyed the tornadoes and dodged Li's attacks easily. However, he did not move. He merely cut the immortal's body in half and stood there, waiting for Li to attack. He did this on purpose. He wanted to give Li some hope and then let him feel hopeless. He wanted Li to have a taste of helplessness and hopelessness. Bang! Li's cold blade landed on the helmet on Yinjun's head. Dozens of shockwaves of energy and soul surged in. What shocked Li was that the dozens of shockwaves of energy and soul could not penetrate into Yinjun's head. The helmet had intercepted all the energy and soul. Relic. Li was disappointed and helpless. Yinjun had a relic armor. Even if Yinjun stood there and let Li hack at him, Yinjun would not be harmed. As it turned out, not even the immortal's body could do anything to Yinjun, let alone Li. You have stopped? Yinjun looked at Li with sarcasm. Seeing that Li had stopped, Yinjun sneered. Now that you have stopped, it is my turn. Whoosh! Yinjun did not use his relic weapon. He waved his arm casually. His arm suddenly grew longer and larger. He slapped Li's face. Bang! Li was wearing the dragon armor. Even so, he was smashed away. Blood spilled out from his mouth. Clearly, he was injured. Boom! Li was smashed into a hill nearby. The hill collapsed. Rocks rolled down and buried Li alive. Bang! The rocks cracked. Li was smashed out. Blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. His ferocious face and blood-red eyes made him look even more frightening. He did not know what to do. He dashed toward Yinjun again in a frenzy. This time, before Li could get close to Yinjun, the latter swung his relic weapon and generated a ray of sword light. Swish! Like a piece of white paper, the sky was cut open by a sharp blade. A crack appeared in the sky. The ray of sword light came at Lu Li with no way to dodge. He was hit. Bang, bang. The dragon armor over Lu Li's body cracked. Then, the quasi-relic armor hidden in his body emerged, but was torn apart soon. In the end, his chest was covered in blood. Once again, he was smashed away. Too weak, too weak. Yinjin shook his head. Just now, he did not use any strong attacks. Lu Li's defense was good, but his realm was much lower than Yinjun's. Besides, Yinjun had a relic weapon. Lu Li's abilities were not enough. It was like the difference between a human sovereign realm warrior and a fateful realm warrior. Boom! Once again, Lu Li was smashed into the hill. Hu Lang and the others rushed over in a frenzy. Many other warriors were coming as well. They were trying to stall Yinjun so that Lu Li could have a chance to escape. If you want to die, then so be it. Yinjun swung his relic weapon at will. One warrior after another was hacked to death like scarecrows. Yinjun's subordinates did not have the strength to fight back. Usually, a casual slash of his saber could kill many soldiers. Bang! Once again, Lu Li dashed out from the hill. But this time, he did not go toward Yinjun. Instead, he stared at the scene around him. This scene was vaguely familiar to him, and it made him feel a little touched in his heart. Purgatory? Massacre? He remembered what he saw in the Slayer's blood. The ground was covered with corpses. It was a scene of purgatory. The same scene where he killed many warriors with ease. The same scene was filled with blood. The entire world was filled with killing intent. The Slayer's move? Stop killing by killing? Prove the way by killing? Settle the injustice in the world by killing? Kill, kill, kill. Lu Li's eyes were turning redder and redder. The killing intent and killing intent were growing stronger. He raised his head and bellowed like an enraged beast. At this moment, he seemed to have become a real killer. Chapter 11:19. Lu Li had been through many things in his life, but he had never been as angry and aggrieved as he was now. At this moment, apart from anger and murderous intent, there was nothing else in his mind. Everything had a soul, and everyone was equal. Lu Li had always believed that everyone was equal. Everyone had the right to live. One should not deprive others of their right to live for no reason. If someone provoked you and tried to kill you, then they were enemies. It was understandable for you to kill them. Commoners and martial artists belonged to two different worlds. No matter what grudges there were between martial artists, it should not involve the commoners. Compared to warriors, civilians were the weaker ones, just like the difference between immortals and mortals. It was immoral and unreasonable to implicate mortals when immortals went to war. So many people died in front of Lu Li, and it was all because of him. He was the one who implicated the civilians and warriors. He was the one who killed so many people without a complete body. Many people lost their families. Many children lost their parents. Many elderly lost their children. Lu Li's heart felt like it was being cut by a knife and bleeding when he thought of the children wailing with their dead parents in their arms. He thought of the old people kneeling on the ground, trembling and shedding tears. Looking at the hellish scene in front of him, Lu Li was filled with rage and murderous intent. The image of the Slayer slaughtering demons came to his mind. He was touched. Killing to stop killing? Killing to achieve greatness? Killing to pacify injustice in the world? He murmured to himself. In the past, he had always believed that killing too many people was wrong because it would result in too much sin. Too much evil energy would lurk in one's soul and body. One would become an Azura and could never achieve greatness or become an immortal. Therefore, over the years, Lu Li had been restraining himself. He would not kill too many people unless they were mortal enemies. But now he realized that maybe killing to achieve greatness could also be a way to heaven. Wasn't the Slayer a good example? The Slayer's name contained the word kill. His blood was filled with evil energy. He must have killed too many living beings. Not killing did not mean that the problem could not be solved. Killing, on the other hand, could solve all problems. As long as all the enemies were killed and all the more powerful ones were wiped out, there would be no problem. For example, Luli had slaughtered his way up and became the leader of the Heaven Reverse universe. Now, he would have no problem in the Heaven Reverse universe. The true meaning of the Slayer Emperor is to use killing to enter the Tao, to use killing to affirm the Tao, to use killing to settle all the injustices in the world. This is the true meaning of the Slayer Emperor's true meaning, the origin of it. Luli kept mumbling to himself. Suddenly, he closed his eyes. He had forgotten everything. All that was left in his mind was Sha Di's slash, the slash that easily split the devil into two, the slash that moved the heaven and earth. Luli studied the Slayer's move for a long time and used it many times. He once swung his saber for months, trying to release the Slayer's move. However, no matter how hard he racked his brains, he could not comprehend Slayer's killer move. He had given up a few times and picked it up a few times. Finally, after the third drop of Slayer's blood was used up, he had meditated for a few months and completely gave up on learning the Slayer's killing move. At this moment, he suddenly realized that he had taken the wrong path in comprehending Slayer's killer move. This was because he had always been comprehending the form of Slayer's killer move, but he did not try to comprehend its spirit. The Slayer's killer move was not a movement, a secret skill, or a divine skill. It was a gist of trueness, a very powerful and strange gist of trueness. Without understanding the fundamental principle, without understanding the Slayer's move, without understanding the origin, without mastering the spirit, how could the form be released? It was the same with profound meanings. Without profound meanings, no matter how hard one tried to imitate, one could never master the profound meaning or release powerful skills. Finally, I understand it. I understand it. Luli felt the dark clouds were parted, and he saw a clear sky. Though he had not reached a profound understanding of the Slayer's move, he had grasped the basics. It should not be a problem for him to release the Slayer's move. What was more, Luli felt that the Slayer's move he could release would be much more powerful than the one with the Slayer's blood. The Slayer's move was released with the help of the spiritual imprint in the Slayer's blood. Luli could only imitate the form, but now he had mastered the essence. Charge! He roared like a dragon from the 9 heavens. His body soared into the sky and slowly flew forward. He was not fast, but as he moved forward, a strange energy spread out from him, and it was growing stronger. Well, many warriors that were dashing toward Yinjin stopped. They could not help but look at Luli, including Hu Lang, who was smashed away again and was badly injured. Young master, Hu Lang's gloomy eyes contracted when he saw Luli. He realized that Luli was different, as if he was a stranger. Luli was no longer the Luli he knew. He did not even look like a human anymore. Instead, he looked like a god of death, a tool born for killing. Crack, crack, crack. Many people looked at Luli with fear in their eyes. Some people's teeth were chattering. They knew that Luli would not kill them or cause them any harm. That being said, they were still afraid out of instinct. Luli's murderous intent terrified them. It was not the murderous intent of a human being. It was a very special kind of murderous intent. It was a murderous intent that could strike fear into people's hearts and make them afraid to be enemies. A glint of coldness rose in Yin Jun's eyes. He had noticed something wrong with Luli. Luli had become a stranger to him. At the moment, Yin Jun was scared of Luli. Yin Jun felt like he was facing Yin Tiangang. Yin Jun could not summon any will to fight. He was terrified out of instinct. How is this possible? Yin Jun was taken aback. How could he be afraid of a warrior at the initial stage of the semi-god realm? That was strange. Anger rose up in his heart. The relic weapon in his hand glowed. He was about to cut Luli in half. However, Luli was faster than him. It seemed that Luli was flying slowly. However, while Yin Jun was stunned, Luli had shortened the distance. He didn't release any flashy moves. He just lightly slashed with his saber. As Luli moved his saber, Xin-Chi and heaven and earth swarmed over from all sides. In an instant, the space where Yin Jun was at was suppressed. What? If Yin Jun was only slightly shocked just now? At this moment, a monstrous wave was set off in her heart. This was because he found that his body could not move at all. He could only watch helplessly as the saber light approached him and finally slashed at his body. It's okay. It's okay. I have a relic armor. I can stand it, Yin Jun thought to himself. Lu Li's move did not seem to be powerful. It could not inflict any harm on him. Chapter 11:20. Lu Li swung his saber gently. A ray of blood-red ray of sword light whooshed out from the blade of Lung. Before the ray of sword light reached Yin Jun, an extremely intense evil spirit spread out and enveloped Yin Jun. Yin Jun felt a ray of red light. His world was filled with red. Or, to put it in another way, he had entered a world of blood. Lu Li was gone. The ray of sword light was gone, and the mountains and rivers around him were gone. Yin Jun felt that all he could see was blood, blood that covered the sky and the ground. He was completely lost in the sea of blood. Bang! A muffled noise pulled Yin Jun back from the world of blood. Yin Jun came back to his senses. He was shocked. Just now, he was stunned for a moment. In a fight between powerful warriors, life and death could be decided in an instant. If the enemy's attacks were sharp enough, he would have lost his life. On this thought, Yin Jun was shocked, and then he felt lucky. He was lucky that he had a relic armor. It seemed that Lu Li's attack only knocked him away without inflicting any harm. The relic armor did not seem to be cracked. Wait, all of a sudden, Yin Jun felt suffocation in his chest. He felt a bit of pain. He checked his body at once and was taken aback. He discovered that there was an inexplicable energy in his body. That strange energy wasn't much, but it was quietly attacking his internal organs and successfully injuring him. Oh no, Yin Jun was panicking. His greatest reliance was the relic armor and the relic weapon. Now that Lu Li was taking action, Yin Jun could not fight back. However, Lu Li could hurt his internal organs through the relic armor, and it was a strange energy that Yin Jun could not seem to resolve. In other words, at this rate, Yin Jun's injuries would worsen. Eventually, his internal organs would be crushed. By then, not even immortals could save him. Swish! Before Yin Jun could react, Lu Li had struck again. Lu Li swung his saber gently. The blood-red ray of sword light spread out from the blade of Lung. Before the ray of sword light reached Yin Jun, a surge of evil spirit had enveloped him. Then, Yin Jun entered that world of blood again, completely lost. Bang! The blade of light landed heavily on Yin Jun, knocking him away. His purple armor shone with a resplendent light, illuminating the surroundings. Hu Lang and the others could not even open their eyes. All right, Hu Lang and the others cheered. Even though Lu Li's attack could not break the relic armor, it was still a powerful weapon. However, Yin Jun was sent flying twice in a row, and she didn't even have the strength to fight back. This gave everyone hope. What was more important was the feeling Lu Li was giving off. Even Hu Lang, who had reached the Earth Immortal realm, felt Lu Li was no longer immortal, but a killer, an immortal from the divinity. Xiao! Lu Li whooshed across the sky and caught up with Yin Jun. By the time Yin Jun came back to her senses, Lu Li had swung his saber again. Sizzle! A sharp whistling sound rang out, and a xianqi of heaven and earth from all directions whizzed along with the blood-colored blade radiance. Just as Yin Jun was about to move, he was once again suppressed. He could only watch as the saber gleam flew over and watch as his world turned blood-red. Bang! Once again, Yin Jun was smashed away. This time, Yin Jun didn't even have the time to check on his wounds. He flew away at once. He had to run because Lu Li was coming. If Lu Li were to attack him, Yin Jun would be suppressed again. At this rate, Yin Jun would lose his life here. Lu Li had attacked from a distance. As soon as Yin Jun made his move, heaven and earth would suppress Yin Jun. Yin Jun could not fight back. Also, after Lu Li's attack, Yin Jun's soul would be affected by the evil spirit. Yin Jun did not know how to defend himself. He could only let Lu Li attack him. It just so happened that there was a strand of cold and strange energy in Lu Li's attack that was corroding Yin Jun's body. Yin Jun felt everything was out of his control. Naturally, he was afraid. He had to run away and then figure out a way to break Lu Li's attack and kill him. He could not allow Lu Li to control the pace. Immortal's body, Lu Li shouted. In the distance, the Immortal's body flew over, grabbed Lu Li with one hand, and dashed away. In an instant, Lu Li had caught up with Yin Jun, who was running away. He swung his saber gently. Swish! It was the same blood-red ray of sword light and the same world of blood. Yin Jun was smashed away as well. This time, when Yin Jun came back to his senses, he was terrified. He had forgotten about the Immortal's body. The Immortal's body was faster than him, which meant that Yin Jun could not run away. Lu Li could keep on attacking and tire Yin Jun out. Lu Li would not give Yin Jun any time to rest until Yin Jun was killed. I must figure something out. I must. Yin Jun's mind was working frantically. Unfortunately, the next second, Lu Li attacked again. Yin Jun's world was occupied by blood. In the world of blood, Yin Jun would be lost and could not think. Bang, 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 bang. 1 move, 2 moves, 10 moves. Hu Lang and the others watched as Yin Jun was smashed away by Lu Li again and again. Even though the relic armor did not show any signs of cracking, many people saw hope. That being said, many people had seen hope. They were watching nervously and excitedly. Hu Lang took some healing pellets and asked someone to carry him. He wanted to see Yin Jun die with his own eyes. Or if Lu Li was defeated, he would die with Lu Li. I must fight back or I will die. Once again, Yin Jun came to his senses. He swung his saber and hacked forward. His mind was not clear, but this thought came from the depth of his soul. After all, he was at the peak of the semi-god realm. His reaction was fast. Whoosh! He generated a white line that was spreading toward Lu Li. Lu Li's expressions did not change. He just gave an order to the Immortal's body in his mind. The Immortal's body threw Lu Li away with one hand and dashed over to fend off all of Yin Jun's attacks. On the other side, Lu Li swung his saber gently. Wherever the blade pointed, heaven and earth trembled, and the weather changed. Yin Jun was about to attack again when he was stopped. I am doomed. What to do? After Yin Jun came to his senses, he checked his body and realized that his internal organs were badly injured. That cold energy lingered around him. He could not suppress it any time soon. At this rate, he would be doomed. Yin Jun did not attack again because the Immortal's body was in front of him. The Immortal's body was fast. Yin Jun did not think he could kill Lu Li in one move. Let me try again. Yin Jun was unwilling to admit defeat. He did not believe that he could not kill a warrior at the initial stage of the semi-god realm. As long as he could kill Lu Li, everything would be solved. Boom! Yin Jun was smashed away again. This time, he smashed into a mountain. He did not run away. As soon as he came to his senses, his neck glowed in golden light. Following that, many golden pythons dashed out toward Lu Li. This was Yin Jun's bloodline skill, a 9th rank bloodline. Almost at the same time, the relic weapon in his hand glowed. He swung his saber. The saber glowed, and the airflow was swirling. A strange beast shadow whooshed out from the relic weapon and charged toward Lu Li, roaring. Yin Jun had used the artifact spirit in the relic weapon and his bloodline skill. Chapter 1121. Hiss, hiss, the huge golden serpents were hovering in the sky. There were 12 of them in total, and each of them was over 100 feet long. They seemed to be real, not illusions. The 12 golden serpents were snarling and dashing toward Lu Li and the Immortal's body from different directions. All of them were as intimidating as 12 mythical beasts. What was more terrifying than the 12 serpents was the soul of the relic weapon. The soul of the relic weapon whooshed over and enveloped Lu Li with its horrifying energy. Lu Li felt he was suffocated and could not move. Lu Li snorted. Between his eyebrows glowed as the dragon demon came out. The dragon demon dashed toward the 12 serpents, roaring. Lu Li ordered the Immortal's body to stop the soul of the relic weapon. The dragon demon was strong. Even though it was not as strong as the immortal's body, it should not be difficult for the dragon demon to stop the 12 serpents. The immortal's body was smaller, but he was still 10 feet tall. He dashed over and shielded Luli. Luli felt the pressure on him lessened. He dashed down, aimed at Yin Jun, and swung his saber. Swish, Yin Jun was just about to come over and find a chance to attack Luli. However, Luli dodged it easily and attacked quickly. Yin Jun felt his vision turned red. Once again, he was lost in a world of blood. Once Yin Jun was lost, the 12 golden serpents were no longer under control. They stopped in the air. The dragon demon whooshed over and smashed the serpents with its huge claws and tail. Boom! The soul of the relic weapon landed on the immortal's body. The immortal's body was knocked back for hundreds of feet. The soul of the relic weapon flew back in a blur. The immortal's body came back quickly, unharmed. The immortal's body was so strong that the soul of the relic weapon could not inflict any harm on him. Boom! Yin Jun was smashed away. When Luli came back to his senses, his mind was weighed down. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. His injuries were serious. He could not even suppress the extravasated blood. He looked inside and found that there was a cold energy lurking in his internal organs and many other parts of his body. This energy was constantly cleansing his body and destroying his bodily functions. Unfortunately, he could not get rid of this energy in a short period of time. Luli's attacks would come in waves, and he would soon be lost in the world of blood. Is this a very powerful divine art? Supreme divine art? Did Emperor of Heaven Reverse teach Luli? A glint of doubt flashed across Yin Jun's mind. Luli's attack was domineering. Not only could he mobilize the force in heaven and earth, but he could also inflict powerful soul attacks and that chilling energy. If it were not for the relic armor, even a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm would be smashed into pieces by Luli no matter how strong his defense was. Clearly, Luli had just reached the semi-god realm not long ago. At this realm, he could not have such a powerful move. The only explanation was the skill from the divinity. Yin Tiangang was working for Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Then, the skill should be passed down by Emperor of Heaven Reverse. But Yin Tiangang never told him that Emperor of Heaven Reverse had such a powerful skill. At the very least, even if Emperor of Heaven Reverse taught Luli a powerful skill, could Luli learn it easily at his realm? Yin Jun learned 2 skills, but it took him 100 years. How old was Luli? Swish, Yin Jun did not have much time to think. Luli launched another attack, and Yin Jun was smashed away. When Yin Jun came back to his senses, he dared not to stay any longer. He flew into the distance in a frenzy. He wanted to run to the waters region and back to the divine imperial universe. Yin Jun had a relic weapon that was powerful. However, Luli's attacks were so strange that Yin Jun lost his soul. Yin Jun could not organize a continuous counterattack. Luli was too fast with the immortal's body. It was difficult for Yin Jun to kill Luli in an instant. Luli could attack from a distance and suppress Yin Jun at once. If Yin Jun tried to fight back from a distance, Luli could have the immortal's body to stop him. Yin Jun had no chance to kill Luli. Yin Jun had to run away while his wounds were not serious. He had to go to the waters region. That spatial tunnel was not far away. Yin Jun should have a chance to go back. As for going to the waters region, would Luli go after him? Yin Jun did not dwell on this. He had to figure out a way while he ran. Boom, 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 boom. Yin Jun was smashed away again and again. The chilly energy in his body was growing. He was no longer in the mood to kill Luli. Every time when he came back to his senses, he would take healing pellets and mobilize Xian energy to drive away the chilly energy. One thing was clear to him. If the chilly energy were allowed to go on and reach a certain level, it could explode and crush his body directly. He did not understand how the cold energy had entered his body through the god artifact. Moreover, he had not sensed it at all. Right. Yin Jun suddenly remembered the world of blood. He had an epiphany. When he was in the world of blood, the chilly energy had sneaked into his body. That must be the evil spirit, a special kind of energy that could penetrate the relic armor. Along the way, Yin Jun was being attacked. However, Yin Jun's heart was getting colder. He could not drive away the chilly energy in his body. The healing pellets he took were of no use. The chilly energy had enveloped his internal organs. The healing pellets could not go in and were repelled by the chilly energy. Poof! Yin Jun was smashed away again. Blood gushed out from his mouth. This time, he could not hold it back no matter how hard he tried. His face was pale. The injuries on his internal organs were getting worse. He was terrified. Ever since he took control of the relic armor, he never thought that he could die. He was filled with regret. If only he could have killed Lu Li in one move just now. Nobody expected that Lu Li's abilities could soar in such a short time, and he could overpower Yin Jun. Yin Jun ran and stopped. He was attacked constantly. The chilly energy in his body was increasing. The injuries on his internal organs were getting worse. He looked worse and slower. Even he was slowed down. When a warrior reached a certain level, the injuries on his body would not let him die easily. For example, even if he was stabbed more than a dozen times, even if his heart was pierced through, a powerful warrior could still suppress the injuries and continue to fight. If it was just an ordinary injury, with Yin Jun's strength, he would be fine for a few months. The problem was that the cold energy was very strange. This energy was entrenched in his internal organs, and he couldn't expel it or dissolve it. It even enveloped his internal organs, preventing the healing medicine from entering. No matter how powerful a warrior was, if his internal organs were destroyed and he had no blood flow and breath, he would eventually die no matter how strong he was. Faster, faster, faster. Yin Jun ran with all his might. He wanted to rush into the water's region and use some means to stall Lu Li. Then, he could destroy the spatial tunnel at once. In this way, he would be safe. Yin Jun was not far away from the spatial tunnel, only 2 hours away. But he would be smashed away every now and then, so he could not go at full speed. By the time he arrived, it had been 4 hours. His eyes glowed when he saw the huge black hole in the distance. His mouth was filled with blood, and his injuries were severe. But at least he had a chance to escape. Boom! However, before he could even get close to the spatial passageway, he suddenly heard a loud explosion. Following that, he watched as the spatial passageway collapsed right before his eyes. You want to run? Lu Li's eyes were still red, but he was not delirious. He sneered. Yin Jun, you have slaughtered so many people of the Heaven Reverse universe, and so many innocent people have died unjustly. I will sacrifice your head to their souls in heaven. Chapter 1122. The moment Yin Jun was about to run away, Lu Li had already made arrangements. He sent someone to destroy the passageway, in secret. The person he sent was an alien race, the Supreme King of the Waters region. That Supreme King was a semi-god realm warrior. He was taken into the outer hall of the Wicked Bead by Lu Li. Just now, Lu Li secretly let that Supreme King out. The Supreme King had already arrived. By the time Yin Jun arrived, the passageway had collapsed. If the passageway was not under attack, it would be stable and could last for several years. However, once a powerful warrior attacked, the passageway would become unstable. The space nearby would be compressed, and eventually, the entire passageway would collapse. Yin Jun's face turned pale the moment he saw the tunnel collapse. He had never felt so powerless before. It was as if he was so close to death. He didn't continue to run, because he couldn't run too far. His internal organs were about to be pierced. He had tried many ways to deal with the chilling energy, but to no avail. He made a rough calculation. In an hour at most, his internal organs would be shattered. What was more, would Lu Li stop attacking during this time? Swish, while he was deep in thought, Lu Li launched another attack. He hacked from 2 miles away. A ray of blood-red sword light whooshed over. Yin Jun saw a flash of red light in front of him. Once again, he had entered that world of blood. There is no other way. Yin Jun decided to see if he could make peace with Lu Li. As soon as he came back to his senses, he shouted, Lu Li, stop. Let's talk. Lu Li did not stop. He did not want to waste any more time with Yin Jun. He swung his saber and smashed Yin Jun away. After sending Yinjin flying, he swallowed a healing pill. As a matter of fact, his injuries were serious. But due to the urgency of the situation, he had no time to tend to his wounds. He had to rely on his self-healing ability to heal himself. Now that the passageway was destroyed, Yinjun had nowhere to run. Luli was relieved. He now had time to take healing pellets. Send a message to the warriors nearby. Tell them to evacuate the civilians in the nearby cities and run away. Luli sent a message to Hiyu. He was afraid that Yinjun would take desperate measures and drag some civilians down with him before he died. It was too late for those civilians to run away now. But if they dispersed, they would not lose so many lives. Luli, Yinjun flew out from a small mountain and roared, "Stop attacking. If you force me into a corner, I'll slaughter all the cities along the way. I have a relic armor. You can kill me in a few months. How many people can I kill in a few months? You could do the math." Luli snorted. He, a warrior at the peak of the semi-god realm, had spat out blood many times. It was not hard to imagine that he was bleeding. He was just suppressing the blood so that Luli wouldn't see how weak he was. Those at the peak of the soul formation stage were people who were close to the gods. How could ordinary injuries make them vomit blood so easily? Yinjun was to be Dejun. To be Yinjun. Therefore, Luli kept on attacking without saying anything. He believed that it wouldn't be long before Yinjun was killed alive. Tejun was to be. Lu had just learned the Lu. Tejun was to be to the Luli, was a supreme being, the Jun of the realm. Jun had Lu. Li, Yin realm was. Luli could tell from the terror in Yinjun's eyes that this move was powerful, much more powerful than the move he used when he consumed the Slayer's blood. Luli, are you sure? Fine. Let's fight to the death. I will not stop until I make the heaven reverse universe bleed and pile up mountains of corpses. Luli, do you believe me when I say that I will die with you? Leave a way out. Neither of us will benefit if we keep fighting. Luli, are you deaf? Can't you hear me? Why don't you stop? Are you mute? Or do you want to go on? Come on, let's die together. Every time Yinjun was smashed away, he would yell and try to fight back. However, Luli was too far away. He told the immortal's body to block Yinjun's attacks. Poof! Once again, Yinjun was smashed away. This time, he spat out 4 or 5 mouthfuls of blood. He could not hold it in any longer. He felt his internal organs were shattered. There was no pain in his eyes, only fear. He knew that if he could not find a way, he would die here soon. He was not afraid of death. He had lived for many years and enjoyed all kinds of wealth and glory. He knew that he could not become an immortal in this lifetime. Yin Tiangang had made it clear that Yinjun was not talented enough to take the last step. He would die sooner or later. He had no regrets in this life. It made no difference whether he died earlier or later. The only thing he could not accept was the relics. If he died, the 2 relics would fall into Lu Li's hands. With his spiritual imprint gone, Lu Li could take control of the 2 relics easily. The relics were the family heirloom of the Yin family. Yin Tiangang paid a great price to send him down. For the sake of the relics, Yin Tiangang had been a slave for tens of thousands of years without the relic armor and weapon. The Yin family would lose a powerful weapon even if they still had the divine imperial city. The Yin family could not pose an absolute threat to the 9 universes. There is no other way. After thinking about it, Yinjun's face revealed a trace of helplessness. He realized that there was only one path he could take. That was to use a powerful skill to force Yin Tiangong's avatar to kill Lu Li. Without an altar and statue, there was no bridge or medium. Immortals could not come down and create avatars. However, Yin Tiangang once sent down a piece of artifact. With this artifact, one could create an avatar once. It was a life-saving artifact. Boom! Yinjun wasted no time after he was smashed away by Lu Li. He took out a piece of jade. It was a small white jade statue. He poured Xian energy into it and then threw it out. Buzzing, the white jade statue expanded in the wind. It was glaring. Soon, a surge of divine might spread out from it. Divine might? Luli glanced over with his blood-red eyes. Then, without any hesitation, he hacked at the statue with his saber. He did not know what the white jade statue could be used for. But since it was Yin Jun who threw it out and there was a surge of divine might, Luli wanted to break it first. Swish! A blood-red ray of sword light whooshed on. Qianqi in heaven and earth was affected. The Qianqi surged toward the statue and stopped the flying statue. What? A surge of psychic power spread out and scanned an area with a radius of 30 miles. Eventually, his psychic power noticed Lu Li's ray of sword light. Yin Tiangang shouted in rage, "Lu Li, if you dare to kill Yin Jun, when we come to the divinity, I will kill you at all costs." Boom! Yin Jun had just finished his words when the blood-red ray of sword light landed on the white jade statue. The next second, the white jade statue fell apart and turned into dust. Oh no, his last hope was gone. Luli had reacted too fast. Before Yin Tiangang could react, the white jade statue was destroyed. Yin Jun's last way out was cut off. P.S. Add a chapter. Another thing. He found some portraits and created a list of the top 10 beauties of the Heaven Reverse universe. Tomorrow, he would post it on his WeChat public account. You could search for the account Night of Enchantment and follow it. It will be posted at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Many portraits were charming. Who were the top 10 beauties of the Heaven Reverse universe? Chapter 1123. As soon as the white jade statue was activated, Yin Tiangang must have sensed it. Therefore, he sent an avatar at once. If Luli had been 1 second slower, Yin Tiangang would have realized what was going on. By then, it would be difficult to destroy the white jade statue. That being said, Yin Tiangang was a mighty warrior in the divinity. He must have a way. At the very least, it would not be difficult for him to keep Yin Jun alive. However, Luli reacted fast. He was familiar with the might of divinity and hated it. Therefore, he made a move without hesitation. It just so happened that Lu Li's attack was ferocious. That white jade statue was solid, but it cracked at once. Yin Jun stared at the broken statue in a daze. His eyes gradually became gloomy, as if he had lost his soul. His last life-saving straw was gone. Swish! Luli did not care. He hacked at Yin Jun. Yin Tiangong's threat was nothing to him. Go after him at the divinity at all costs? Luli was not afraid. Not to mention that Yin Tiangang did not have powerful forces in the divinity. He would deal with the divinity when he got there. Along the way, Luli was never afraid of threats. If he had to be overcautious in everything, he would still be living his life in the northern desert. How could he become the leader of the Heaven Reverse universe? On the path of cultivation, one had to change one's destiny. Without the courage to face difficulties, how could one survive the trials and rise to the top? Lu Li and the Yin family were mortal enemies. He would not miss the chance to kill Yin Jun. What was more, so many had died. If he did not avenge them, how could he comfort the souls in heaven? Boom, 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 boom. Yin Jun was smashed away again and again by the furious Lu Li. More and more blood gushed out from his mouth. His face was getting paler and paler. He was moving faster and faster. This is the last chance. A glint of determination rose in the depth of Yin Jun's eyes. He knew that he was at the end of his rope and could die at any moment. He had to make one last attempt. If he could kill Lu Li, then he might have a chance to survive. Otherwise, he would be doomed eternally. Yin Jun began to think. Years of experience taught him that once he made a move, he must kill. He only had one chance. He must be careful. Lu Li's attack came. Yin Jun had an idea. He said with grief and indignation, "Lu Li, my forefather will not let you go. When he reaches a certain realm, he will come to the Heaven Reverse universe and destroy your world." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Yin Jun was sent flying. This time he spat out blood in midair. His eyes quickly dimmed, and his aura gradually weakened. It seemed like he was about to die. Boom! His body was sent flying for thousands of feet before crashing heavily into the wasteland below and rolling many times. Because blood kept spurting out of his mouth, his purple armor was stained with blood. Dead. Luli used psychic power to check. He noticed that Yin Zhen's energy was weakening and her vitality was fading away. Finally, Luli could breathe a sigh of relief. Of course, he did not stop immediately. He raised his saber and slashed at Yin Zhen again. A blood-red saber light whizzed out and landed heavily on Yin Zhen's body. The horrifying energy left a huge pit on the ground. Yin Zhen was smashed away and rolled into the distance. Yin Zhen had been rolling on the ground. He never opened his eyes again. All signs of life were gone. His face was as pale as a piece of paper. He looked like a dead body. Buzzing, all of a sudden, the relic armor on Yin Zhen glowed. It came off automatically and floated up to the sky. At the same time, his interspatial ring came off automatically and floated up as well. However, because the divine weapon was tightly held in Yin Zhen's hand, it did not break free. Phew. Luli took a deep breath. He was relieved. The red glow in his eyes was fading away. Theoretically speaking, when a person died, the quasi-relic and interspatial ring would come off automatically. Luli had seen this many times before, including quasi-relic and high-level interspatial rings. When a person died, the spiritual imprint would disappear. It was normal for the quasi-relic and interspatial ring to come off automatically. Yin Zhen was no different from a dead body. There is no sign of life in him. Luli used psychic power to check. Yin Zhen's internal organs were shattered. His internal organs were filled with extravasated blood. He could not be more dead. Relic. Luli's attention was attracted by the relic armor above Yin Zhen's body. It was a relic armor. The immortal's body's attack and Luli's Slayer's move could not crack the armor. It was a testament to the strength of the relic armor. Everyone loved treasures, especially cultivators. They had an incomparable thirst for treasures, not to mention divine weapons, which were divine armors and divine weapons. Therefore, Luli did not hesitate. He dashed toward the relic armor. He had told the immortal's body to stop. Since he did not give the order, the immortal's body would not follow him. 10 miles, 2 miles, 2 miles. Right at that moment, he heard some noises coming from the distance, which caught Luli's attention. Out of instinct, Luli stopped. He used psychic power to check. It was Hu Lang and the others. Hu Lang was badly injured, but he wanted to see Yin Zhen die. Therefore, he asked his subordinates to take Hu Lang and follow from a distance. Now it seemed to be settled. That was why Hu Lang had the courage to come and take a look. What Hu Lang did saved Lu Li's life. The dead, Yin Zhen suddenly opened his eyes. He swung his relic weapon and struck at Lu Li. A shadow of a beast whooshed out from the relic weapon. Yin Zhen's plan was to fake his death so that Lu Li would approach and take the relic armor. Then, he would take the chance to kill Lu Li. He had successfully fooled Lu Li. However, Lu Li had to pause for a moment because of Hu Lang and the others. Yin Zhen thought that Lu Li had noticed something, so he had to take the risk. What? Lu Li sensed fatal danger. He was too close to Yin Zhen. He could not hide or go back into the wicked bead. He swung his sword and released the Slayer's move. Swish. As soon as the sword moved, Xianqi in heaven and earth was affected. The soul of the relic weapon was roaring at full strength, but it was suppressed by the might of heaven and earth. The blood-red ray of sword light shattered the shadow. The soul seemed to be badly injured. It vanished into the relic weapon in a blur. No, seeing that the blood-red ray of sword light had broken through the soul of the relic and was coming at him, Yin Zhen bellowed in anger. Just now, in order to trick Lu Li to come over, Yin Zhen had let the relic armor come off. How could it survive such a powerful strike? Boom! The blood-red ray of sword light smashed Yin Zhen into a mist of blood. A crack with a length of over 2 miles appeared on the ground where Yin Zhen was standing. Dust billowed up along with the mist of blood, blotting out the sky. Chapter 1124. Recently, The divine imperial universe was peaceful because the conflicts in the 9 universes had come to an end. The structure of the 9 universes had changed. Inevitably, the major families were weakened. Nobody could threaten the divine imperial universe anymore. The central imperial universe was conquered and was now occupied by the Chun family. Many warriors and warriors of the Feng family and the Qi family were killed. The remaining elites and powerful warriors fled to their respective ancestral lands. After Jun Hongye came back, the structure of the Earth Imperial Universe changed as well. 2 semi-god realm warriors of the Hao family were killed in battle. The Hao family was weakened. Jun Hongye led the Jun family army and unified the Earth Imperial Universe. There were 5 other universes, including the Neverland universe. Because of the death of the Li family patriarch, the 5 universes took advantage of the chaos in the 9 universes. Many families took actions. The power structure of 3 of the 5 universes had changed. In this chaos, many were injured or killed. The major families were weakened again. Naturally, nobody went to the divine imperial universe to make trouble. After all, the divine imperial universe had the divine imperial city. Throughout history, nobody could break into the divine imperial universe. Threatening the Yin family was pointless. It was a waste of time. After Yin Jun sneaked to the Heaven Reverse universe, the divine imperial universe activated the formation and sealed off several entrances. It was difficult to fight their way into the divine imperial universe. Therefore, recently, the divine imperial universe had been peaceful. The divine imperial city was filled with songs and dances. Many young masters of the Yin family partied every night, enjoying the power and glory that came with being a disciple of the Yin family. Yin, he was one of them. As the most talented young master of the Yin family, he had reached the middle stage of the Earth immortal realm at the age of 30. There was no reason for Yin not to be proud and to enjoy the good life. Tonight, he was hosting a banquet in the best tavern in the divine imperial city. He had invited all the young masters and young ladies of the major families of the divine imperial universe to celebrate his 30th birthday. While the divine imperial universe belonged to the Yin family, there were other families as well. Those families were either related to the Yin family or had been affiliated to the Yin family. Naturally, the families attached great importance to the crown prince's birthday. He could be the future family patriarch of the Yin family. How could they not fawn over him? Therefore, there were so many guests tonight. Many young masters and young ladies dressed up and surrounded Yin, listening to countless words of flattery and feeling the infatuated and worshipful gazes of the young ladies. Yin, he was in a good mood tonight and frequently toasted the guests. From time to time, he would glance at the beautiful ladies inside, wondering who he should ask to serve him tonight. Young Master E, today is your big day. I prepared a special gift for you. Please accept it. A young master suddenly clapped his hands, attracting everyone's attention. The young masters and young ladies in the hall stopped talking and looked at this young master. A faint smile appeared on Yin Yi's face. He raised his cup from afar and said, "Young master who is too polite. It must be a great gift for young master who to be so serious. I am looking forward to it." Ha ha ha. Young master who laughed heartily. He waved his hand and said, "Everyone, please follow me outside to have a look. I guarantee that it will be an eye-opener for you." "All right, let's go take a look." Yin Yi's smile widened. He got up and led the group outside. Just as he walked out, the sound of wind music rang out. Following that, streaks of light appeared in the distance and quickly drifted over. Everyone swept a glance over, and they were all stunned. 5 beauties flew over from afar. Those beauties all had snow-white wings on their backs. Their skin was as white as snow, and their hair was still snow-white. They were also wearing snow-white palace dresses. From afar, they looked like 5 angels that had descended. The palace dresses that the 5 beauties were wearing were probably specially made. They emitted a faint holy white light. After flying in the air in front of everyone, they began to dance. They flew around in the air. Together with the sound of wind music, it was as if 5 real goddesses were dancing. Good heavens! A young master's eyes were filled with lust. He was secretly impressed by young master whose generosity. These 5 women were not ordinary women. They were the famous Ice Lady race. Their skin was ice cold and smooth, and they were one of the best bedmates. This race was very rare. Usually, when one appeared, it would immediately be fought over by the big families. Young master, who brought 5 of them at once. How could Yenny not be pleased with such a great gift? The moon was unclear tonight, and the stars were blocked. The sky looked a little dim, which served as a foil to the 5 women's beauty. The robes of the 5 people emitted a faint white light, like fireflies in the night sky, very attractive. What was more, the 5 of them had stunning looks, graceful figures, graceful movements, and holy expressions. They could ignite the lust in all the men present. Yin Yi's eyes glowed, and his smile grew wider. Some young ladies, on the other hand, were disappointed. Tonight should have been a great chance for them to hook up with Yin Yi. Even without the title, it would be beneficial for them and their families to become Yin Yi's women. Judging by Yin Yi's looks, they might not have the chance tonight. Good. Yin Yi watched for a while and was in a good mood. He could not help but clap and cheer. He looked at young master, who with even more tenderness. Many young masters offered their congratulations, which put Yin Yi in a very good mood tonight. Dong. Right at that moment, from a north of the divine imperial city, came a muffled sound. The sound was low, but it was heard by everyone in the city. What? Countless people's expressions changed slightly, especially the Yin clan's disciples. Their expressions were even more serious because the Grand Imperial Bell wouldn't be rung unless something big happened. Did anything happen recently? Yin Yi and the other young masters looked at each other, hesitating. Could it be that someone had accidentally rung the grand bell? Dong! Another muffled sound came. This time, Yin Yi and the others were taken aback. The first bell could be a coincidence, but the second bell meant that something was wrong. Dong, dong, dong. After 3 consecutive tolls, Yin Yi's expression had turned extremely ugly. Many Yin family disciples in the divine imperial city flew up. Some family patriarchs of major families flew up and looked to the north. Dong, dong, dong. When the bell rang for the 8th time, Yin Yi and the immediate Yin family disciples were trembling. Many young masters who knew the inside story were frightened as well. Dong. After the 9th bell rang, Yin Yi and the Yin family disciples felt weak in their knees. They dropped to the ground. 2 of the Yin clan's disciples immediately burst into tears and kowtowed towards the north. Family patriarch. Miserable cries came from all directions. The entire divine imperial city could hear the cries. Usually, the grand bell would not be rung. Once it was rung, something major must have happened. If the grand bell was rung for 9 times, it meant that the current Yin family patriarch had passed away. Yin Jun had been the family patriarch for hundreds of years. He enjoyed high prestige in the Yin family. He was the pillar of the Yin family, the sky. Yin Jun wore relic armor and held a relic weapon. He was powerful. Theoretically speaking, he could live for another 1,000 years. Now he had passed away. Everyone felt the sky was falling. The divine imperial city was in chaos. Cries and curses were heard everywhere. Yin Jun could not have passed away for no reason. He must have been murdered. It just so happened that the 5 ice ladies in the sky were still dancing. They were domesticated slaves. Without young master Hu's order, they would not stop. Yin Yi roared angrily. He suddenly punched out with his hand and smashed the 5 ice ladies in the air into pieces. Chapter 1125. It must be Lu Li. It must be that devil. Yes. Our Yin family must avenge this blood feud. We must avenge it. All powerful warriors of the Yin family, let's work together and go to the heaven reverse universe to kill Lu Li and his family. Yin Yi was not the only one shouting. Many people in the city were shouting as well. Yin Jun had gone to the heaven reverse universe secretly. For the outside world, this was a secret, but many disciples of the Yin family were well aware. Yin Jun had relic armor, relic artifacts, and 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm with him. He could have swept across any universe. He could have even gone to the Mage Imperial Universe, the Central Imperial Universe, or the Earth Imperial Universe. At the very least, even if Yin Jun were tricked, the other four warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm would be killed. At the very least, Yin Jun would be fine. Who could crack the relic armor and kill Yin Jun? Yin family disciples believed that there was no such warrior in the 9 universes. Therefore, Lu Li was the problem. Back in the days, Lu Li was able to kill the allied forces of the 9 universes all by himself. Only a few of the more than 100 survived. This proved that Lu Li was not an average person. He must have something to rely on. It just so happened that Yin Jun went to the Heaven Reverse universe. His death must have something to do with Lu Li. Yin, he howled in pain. He flew up and dashed toward the hall at the north. Before he arrived, he could see many powerful warriors gathering around. But the door to the hall was closed. Yin, he was the most powerful young master of the Yin family, but he was not qualified to go in. He was still too weak to be part of the decision-making process at the highest level of the Yin family. Many people were kneeling outside the main hall. Many of them were angry, many of them were sorrowful, and even more of them were panicking. Yin Jun was wearing relic armor and wielding relic weapons. If he was killed, would the Divine Imperial City be saved? If Lu Li came to the Divine Imperial Universe and breached the Divine Imperial City, the entire Yin family would be wiped out. They would be killed even if they fled to the ancestral land. The Yin family had dominated the 9 universes for 1,000,000 years. They had made many enemies. Once the Divine Imperial City was breached, many families would swarm over and take advantage of the situation. Everyone in the Yin family would be found and killed one by one. The doors to the hall were shut tight. The elders of the Yin family were discussing inside. The people outside could only stand or kneel and wait for the result of the discussion. After half a day, the door was finally opened. Yin Hu, the chief patriarch of the Yin family, who was in charge of the Divine Imperial City, came out with others. An elder officially announced that Yin Jun had passed away. Yin Jun's jade talisman of life had shattered, and the elders of the Yin family had also contacted Yin Tiangang to confirm this news. After the unanimous vote of the Yin family's elders and Yin Tiangang's approval, the Yin family's first elder, Yin Hu, would be the new Yin family leader. He would lead the Yin family through this crisis. Yin Hu issued his first order as the clan leader, which was to retract all of his forces. All the Yin family disciples were evacuated back to the Divine Imperial Universe. At the same time, some Yin family disciples were arranged to go to the ancestral land. The Yin family would try its best to survive this disaster. Whoosh! Yin Hu's words raised an uproar among the Yin family disciples. The Yin family had more than just the Divine Imperial Universe. They had many affiliated universes. If all of them retreated, the Yin family would lose a lot of benefits, including the benefits of many people present. How could the Yin family, the number 1 family of the 9 universes, be forced into such a difficult situation by one person? When the news spread out, the Yin family's reputation would be ruined. How could they command the 9 universes in the future? Disaster. Yin Yi and the others heard the word. Yin Hu did not say the word crisis, but disaster. This implied that Lu Li was powerful, so powerful that he could wipe out the Yin family. But on second thought, Yin Jun was killed by Lu Li even when he was wearing a relic armor. Lu Li could defeat all the powerful warriors in the 9 universes. Has Lu Li reached the immortal realm? Many people had this thought in their minds, but even a divine realm warrior would find it difficult to break the divine artifact armor, right? Back in the days, the 9 universes did have someone who had reached the immortal realm. The family patriarch of the Yin family at that time even fought. An immortal could not kill the Yin family patriarch easily. Lu Li is only in his 30s, right? Someone asked. When Lu Li came to the Central Imperial Universe, he was only 18. Back then, he was only at the Noble Lord realm. It had only been a dozen years, but Lu Li's abilities had reached such a level. Many people were shocked. Stop talking. Yin Hu waved his hand and said, "This is the decision of the Hall of Patriarchs. You just need to carry it out. Also, send someone to the Prison of Wind, Prison of Darkness, and prison of soul. Ask all the warriors that are cultivating to come back. What? Many people were shocked again. They all knew that some warriors were cultivating in the prison of ice, prison of wind, prison of darkness, and prison of soul. Those warriors had not been involved in family affairs for many years. They would not come back even if they were asked for help. Now that they were asked to come, it meant that the situation had reached a critical point. The Yin family took action soon. Disciples of the Yin family in some small worlds took action. Warriors and armies in those worlds retreated. The Yin family gave up on the worlds they occupied. Inevitably, the news spread. After all, the Yin family had made a big move this time. They gave up so many worlds at once. Scouts from other families were not useless. For a moment, the 9 universes were in an uproar. Many were wondering what had happened to the Yin family. Why did they give up so many worlds at once? Many families had spies in the divine imperial universe. They contacted those spies immediately to gather information. Under the actions of various forces, the news was quickly found out. Yinjun secretly went to the Heaven Reverse universe with warriors. All of them were wiped out. Yinjun died. The news was like a bolt from the blue. Many powerful warriors were stunned. Yinjun, who was no different from a god in the eyes of many, was killed. Yinjun, who was wearing a relic armor, was killed. This was ridiculous. After the initial shock, many families did not gloat over the misfortune. Instead, they were worried. Last time, many families invaded the Heaven Reverse universe together, and they all held grudges against Lu Li, for example. After Jun Hongye heard the news, he locked himself in his room and sat there for 6 hours. In the end, he made the same decision, to reduce the Jun family's influence and to invite the old guys who were cultivating in seclusion in the purgatory of primordial chaos back. Because of one piece of news, the 9 universes were in turmoil. Many people were in a constant state of anxiety. Nobody dared to go to the Heaven Reverse universe anymore. They were all worried that Lu Li would come to the 9 universes. The only one that was not worried was Chun Tianxian. Not only was he not worried, he was excited. He was looking forward to seeing Lu Li, hoping that Lu Li would come to the 9 universes and conquer the 9 universes so that he could benefit. Patriarchs of many families went to the purgatory of primordial chaos, the prison of ice, the prison of wind, the prison of darkness, and the prison of soul to ask the warriors that were cultivating in their families to come back. Chapter 11:26. The 9 universes were in turmoil. The Heaven Reverse universe, on the other hand, had calmed down. With Yinjun's death, Lu Li believed that the catastrophe was over. Of course, he did not let his guard down. He asked Yu to monitor everywhere. What if there were more powerful warriors of the Yin family hiding? Lu Li put away the relic armor and weapon in Yinjun's interspatial ring. He asked Yu to send a message to find someone to take care of the funeral while he went to a nearby city to tend to his wounds. His injuries were not particularly serious. He was in low spirits and was physically and mentally exhausted. Because of him, so many civilians were implicated. His heart was weighed down. He blamed himself and felt guilty. His wounds were serious. He could think of nothing else. He hid in a small city to tend to his wounds and fell into a deep sleep. Before he fell asleep, he gave an order to collect all the bodies of the deceased and bury them together. Also, a monument was to be built. When the monument was built, he would bring Yinzhan's head over to pay his respects. Patriarch of Law Enforcement came out. Jiang Qiling and the twins came over when they were sure that it was safe. They were Lu Li's wives, and they knew him best. This was the most painful moment for Lu Li, and he needed their comfort. Patriarch of Law Enforcement took care of the funeral in person. Lu Zhengyang and the others teleported to the Clouds Plains. Hu Lang was honored. Lu Zhengyang gave the Clouds Plains to Hu Lang in person. Hu Lang had done a great service and helped Lu Li a lot. A large number of warriors were mobilized to collect the bodies, treat the wounded and the dying, settle down the surviving civilians, and deal with the aftermath. Lu Li slept and woke up for 7 to 8 days. It was not because his wounds were serious, but because he was exhausted. When he woke up, Jiang Qiling and the twins had come by super teleportation formation. They said nothing when they saw that Lu Li was in low spirits. They stayed with him in silence. Lu Li did not feel happy, even though he had acquired 2 relics and killed powerful enemies. He stayed in the small city for half a month without seeing anyone. 20 days later, all of the corpses were collected and buried together. A sacred spirit stele was built there. Finally, Lu Li showed up. He was wearing a black robe. Together with Jiang Qiling and the twins, he bowed and kowtowed to the deceased civilians. What was more, Lu Li even knelt down. Many others knelt down as well. After he took out Yin Zhen's head, Lu Li went to the Holy Spirit stele. Seeing the words of praise, Lu Li said with dissatisfaction, "Change these words. Make it clear that these people died because of me. Help me write an edict of self-reproach." Many big shots were taken aback. Lu Li had gone too far. Wasn't it just some civilians who died? Which battle didn't result in deaths? Not to mention, Lu Li had won this time. It wasn't a big deal to implicate some civilians. It was good enough that they were buried in such a solemn way. Lu Li's declaration of his own crimes would leave a stain on the history books. What? No one listens to my orders anymore? Seeing that no one moved, Lu Li turned to the side and said coldly. The patriarchs of the Lu family hurried to move. They smoothed out the words and re-engraved them. When all the words were done, Lu Li turned around, glanced at everyone, and said, "Nobody can erase these words. This is to be a warning to future generations. These people died because of me. I was too arrogant. At first, I thought that even if the Yin family were to take action again, I would be able to deal with them easily. I didn't know that there is always someone better than you. If I had not learned something by luck and improved my abilities, I don't know how many more people of the Great Land would have died. Don't call it the Holy Spirit stele. Call it the monument of self-reproach. It is a warning to future generations that they cannot be arrogant and underestimate their enemies." Everyone was silent. They bore Lu Li's words in mind. As far as they were concerned, Lu Li had won a great victory. Not only did he kill 4 warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm, but he also killed the family patriarch of the Yin family and took away 2 relics. However, they did not expect that Lu Li was so heavy-hearted that he issued a decree of self-reproach. He was a saint who cared about the common people and was benevolent. Lu Li bowed to the grays again. Then he raised his hand and swore, "I, Lu Li, swear to heaven that I will kill my way to the 9 universes and wipe out the Yin family to avenge you. If I break this oath, let me, Lu Li, fall into hell forever and never be reincarnated." Lu Li's solemn vow and sonorous words moved many people nearby. Many civilians gathered here. After all, the ones buried were civilians. They all knelt to Lu Li. To them, the white-haired and black-robed man was no different from the Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Lu Li didn't worry about anything else after he buried the civilians. He went back to the prison of wood with Jiang Qiling and the others. He planned to spend some time with the 3 of them. At the same time, he would consume 2 relics to enhance his abilities before he went to the 9 universes. He didn't study the map of fundamental principle. It had been a long time. Clearly, he could not learn the map of fundamental principle anytime soon. Without the wind-related fundamental principle, he would not be able to become an immortal. Now that he had mastered the Slayer's move and acquired 2 relics, his abilities had increased. He was not in such a hurry to learn the map of fundamental principle. Also, he realized there was one thing he had not done, which was to dissolve the seal of the wicked bead. Now that he had reached the semi-god realm, he could dissolve a new seal of the wicked bead. He had been in a hurry to learn the map of fundamental principle and had forgotten about it. He almost forgot about the bead of wood as well. He didn't even use it this time. Therefore, he decided not to think about integrating the map of fundamental principle. He wanted to concentrate on the Slayer's move and stabilize it. He believed that if he could reach a high level of the Slayer's move, he could also become an immortal. Well, ice, wind, darkness, and soul of thunder. As a matter of fact, I can go to the prison of wind. Maybe it will be easier for me to integrate the wind-related fundamental principle there. Luli remembered that Lu Renhuang's cultivation speed was much faster in the prison of ice. It was said that he had reached the semi-god realm a long time ago and was about to make another breakthrough. If Lu Li went to the prison of wind, it might be easier for him to be inspired and learn the map of fundamental principle. Okay, it is decided. Lu Li made up his mind. He would spend some time to take control of the relic armor and weapon. After that, he would dissolve the new seal of the wicked bead. Then, he would go to the prison of gold. If possible, he would go to the divine imperial universe, break the divine imperial city, and wipe out the Yin family. If he could not break the divine imperial city, he would go to the prison of wind to see if he could integrate the map of fundamental principle and become an immortal. He did not go back to the wicked bead. He sat in the valley of cherry blossoms to cultivate. The Xian energy he cultivated was divided into 3 parts, one for the relic armor, one for the relic weapon, and one for the wicked bead. After a while, Lu Li felt more confident. If Yin Jun could take control of the relic weapon and the relic weapon, so could Lu Li. But the speed was slow. He made a rough calculation. If he cultivated Xian energy without rest, it would take him 1 year to dissolve the seal of the wicked bead and 8 or 9 months for the 2 relic weapons. 1 year. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Li's eyes. In a year, he could go to the prison of gold and find a way to conquer the 9 universes. This time, he would turn the 9 universes upside down. P.S. At 6:30, the official account released the list of top 10 beauties of the Heaven Reverse Universe. This was the ranking in the old monster's mind. What do you think? Chapter 1127. Time passed by mercilessly. After Lu Li killed Yin Jun, peace returned to the Heaven Reverse Universe. Lu Li said in person that from now on, no more warriors of the 9 universes would come to the Heaven Reverse Universe. Patriarch of Law Enforcement notified the Heaven Reverse Universe so that people could put their minds at ease. The outside world did not know what had happened, even though it seemed dangerous. Patriarch of Law Enforcement issued a gag order that those with inside information should not leak it out. The public only said that warriors of the 9 universes came to challenge Lu Li and were all killed by him. Everything quieted down. Battles continued at the unclaimed lands. The 4 major families and some other major families were resting and developing. After several months of chaos, the 9 universes were relieved to find that Lu Li did not come to the 9 universes immediately. Theoretically speaking, Lu Li should have gone to the 9 universes at once. Since he did not come, he would not come anytime soon. Many families invited back their senior warriors that were cultivating in the purgatory of primordial chaos. Lu Li might not come now, but that did not mean that he would never come back. With these old monsters holding down the fort, the various clans would feel much more at ease. The Divine Imperial Universe controlled 7 or 8 small universes and over 100. 3 months later, they all gave up. The other families of the 9 universes did not dare to fight for the Yin family. After all, the situation was not clear. What if Lu Li could not do anything to the Yin family? If the Yin family survived this disaster, the Yin family would deal with anyone that dared to take advantage of the situation. Chun Tianxian secretly sent someone to the prison of wood to see Lu Li. However, the entrance to the prison of wood was sealed off by Kumeng. Chun Tianxian's people could not come in. Therefore, he had to wait for Lu Li to go. Lu Li had a relaxing time during the past few months. Previously, he was in such a hurry to study the map of fundamental principle that he was preoccupied with other matters. He even forgot to take control of the wicked bead. Now that he was not in a hurry to study the map of fundamental principle, he felt more relaxed. Every day, he would cultivate Xian energy and take control of the seal of the wicked bead and the 2 relics. Relics were harder to take control. If it were a quasi-relic, it would only take half a month. Of course, it was mainly because Lu Li did not have divine energy. Otherwise, it would be easy. When he was free, he would chat with his 3 wives and take a walk in the Valley of Cherry Blossoms. Previously, he had a tour with them. Now, he was with them every day. The three were satisfied. The only regret was that she couldn't get pregnant. Luli had lost all hope. He knew that he could not solve the problem in the Heaven Reverse universe. Only by going to the immortal world and finding some experts would he be able to solve the riddle and cure his body. Time passed peacefully. After another month, Yi Luo's second son was born. At Lu Hongyu's suggestion, they decided to give the child to Jiang Qiling and the others so that they could adopt the child. Jiang Qiling and the twins were pleasantly surprised. At their age, if Luli had no problems, they should have been mothers a long time ago. Now that they had adopted a son, Luli would have a descendant. When Luli went to the divinity, they would have spiritual sustenance. Jiang Qiling and the others discussed and asked for Lu Xingyang's opinion. In the end, the matter was presented to Luli for his decision. Luli didn't mind. He and Yi Luo were brothers. Yi Luo's son was no different from his son. Besides, Lu Hongyu was always with Jiang Qiling by Qiu Xue and by Xia Shuang. Luli nodded. Jiang Qiling and the twins were overjoyed. They even asked Luli to name the child. Luli thought about it and decided to name the child Luin. He hoped that the child could live a peaceful life. He did not expect the child to be powerful, but he hoped that the child could live a happy and prosperous life. As Luli's son, the child would live a happy and prosperous life. In the future, the child might even be more powerful than his father, Yi Luo. After all, Luli's influence was overwhelming. Jiang Qiling and the twins left Luli aside. They spent all their time with little Lu and Jiang family, and Kong family were filled with regret when they heard the news. If they had known this would happen, they would have found someone to adopt a child for Luli as well. That child would not only have great power in the future, but it would also stabilize the relationship between the Yi family and the Lu family. Luin was the link between the Yi family and the Lu family. Lu Xingyang was pleased. Lu Feixue and Mingyu had a daughter. Lu Xingyang didn't like to take care of family affairs anymore. He spent all his time with his granddaughter and great-grandson. Luli didn't feel neglected anymore. He could do anything as long as Jiang Qiling and the twins were happy. He continued to work on the wicked bead and the two relics. When he was free, he would study the Slayer's move and a map of fundamental principle of wind. Needless to say, the Slayer's move was powerful. What was more, he had just learned it. Every time he used the Slayer's move, he would be filled with murderous intent. His eyes would turn red. From the Slayer's blood, he could see that when the Slayer used the move, his eyes were not red, and he did not have strong killing intent. He was just waving the relic weapon as if he were trying to shoo away flies and mosquitoes. Therefore, his understanding of the Slayer's move was not deep enough. Another thing was, if he could completely understand the Slayer's move, he should be able to become an immortal. God a Barbarian said that he could become an immortal when he learned an origin fundamental principle. 9 months passed. The purple armor in Lu Li's hand suddenly glowed in a purple light. Then, the purple armor disappeared from Lu Li's hand. Nice! Lu Li opened his eyes all of a sudden. His eyes were filled with excitement. He had a spiritual connection with the relic armor. He had taken control of the relic armor. Relic armor on. He suddenly stood up and shouted. Then, his body shone with a purple light, and a beautiful purple armor wrapped around him. A purple helmet appeared on his head, making him look majestic like a divine general. Impressive. Lu Li moved his body. His agility was not affected at all. It was as if he was wearing a purple robe. He felt cool and comfortable. Nice! With the relic armor, Lu Li had absolute defense. From now on, he no longer had to hide in the wicked bead. He could face any enemies. Lu Li took a few steps in the room and hid the relic armor inside his body. Then he sat down with his legs crossed in excitement. The relic armor was done, and the relic weapon would be ready soon. It would take him 3 to 5 days at most. He did not have the time to rest. He could not wait to take more control of the relic weapon. He believed that after he took control of the relic weapon, the Slayer's move would be more powerful. After all, he was using a relic weapon. Just as Lu Li had expected, On the fourth day, the saber in his hand suddenly glowed. The saber was pure black. Therefore, the black glare was quite beautiful. This is good. Luli waved the relic weapon. He could feel the surging energy and the indescribable might in the relic weapon. He was overjoyed. With the relic weapon and the relic armor, he had no shortcomings in offense and defense. It would be easier for him to conquer the 9 universes. Let me try it. Chapter 1128. Swish! Outside a forest in the prison of wood, a ray of blood-red sword light whooshed by. The fire-red trees in front of Li were torn apart. The ray of sword light flew for more than 15 miles before it stopped. That was to say, the forest within a radius of more than 15 miles was cut down. This was not an average tree. It was called Fire Rock Tree, meaning that it was as hard as rocks and fire. Even a human sovereign realm warrior would have to spend some time to cut it down. This was the hardest tree in the prison of wood. Swish! Soon, another blood-red saber light whizzed over. This time, the saber light was clearly larger than the previous one, and its aura was also more vigorous. Bang, bang, bang. One fire rock tree after another was cut down. Everywhere the ray of sword light passed by, the fire rock trees would fall. The ray of sword light did not slow down at all. It flew on like an arrow. In the time for a few breaths, it had covered a distance of more than 30 miles, and it did not slow down at all. Boom, boom, boom. After flying for more than 30 miles, the ray of sword light vanished due to the exhaustion of energy. Everywhere the ray of sword light passed by, all the fire rock trees were cut down. Wow, wow, someone exclaimed. Bai Xiaoshuang's cherry lips were agape. She was shocked. Looking at the relic weapon in Lu Li's hand, she exclaimed, "Darling, this relic weapon can double the power. That is impressive." In terms of age, Bai Xiaoshuang should be in her 30s. But in terms of looks and temperament, she was no different from a young girl. Bai Xiaoshuang had been working hard recently. Some time ago, she reached the human sovereign realm. Her life should have been extended as well. Barring any accidents, she could live for 1 or 2,000 years. Compared to 1 or 2,000 years ago, Bai Xiaoshuang was a young girl now. That being said, in history, many powerful warriors with long lives could not live that long. It was not because of accidents. It was because they felt that life was pointless and they sought death. On second thought, it was understandable. After a long time, a person would feel that everything was pointless because he or she had experienced everything. When one was old, there would be no more progress in realms. Friends would die one after another, and many children and grandchildren would pass away. They would feel numb, bored, lonely, and sad. Gradually, they would want to die. Of course, there were also many old monsters who were unwilling to give up. They would often look for dangerous places to explore and find dangerous places to cultivate in seclusion. For example, many old monsters in the 9 realms would choose to go to the upper 5 levels of the purgatory of primordial chaos to take a risk and break through to a higher realm. However, most of them would die in the upper 5 levels of the purgatory of primordial chaos. Bai Xiaoshuang was only in her 30s. Naturally, she would not feel numb or bored by life. Luli had come out from cultivation. Hearing that he was going to check on the result, she followed him with excitement. Not bad. Luli stroked the black saber in his hand. He nodded with satisfaction and said, "This relic weapon can increase the power of my killing move by more than double. Relic weapons are indeed extraordinary." Immortal corpse, come out. Luli let out the immortal's body and ordered, "Immortal's body, attack me with half of your strength." Luli did not dare to let the immortal's body attack with full force. On the off chance that he could not stand it, his body would explode. A purple relic armor appeared around Luli. Xiao. The immortal's body dashed over and landed a punch on Luli. The purple relic armor glowed. Luli trembled and was smashed away for over 100 feet. He nodded. The relic armor was strong. He was not harmed at all. Whoosh! The immortal's body kept on attacking, smashing Luli away again and again. Luli focused his mind on the relic armor. He observed for a while and noticed that there was a strange formation inside the relic armor. It was those formations that could dissolve the immortal's body's strength. Luli was interested in those formations. He told the immortal's body to keep on attacking while he focused his mind on the relic armor. Every time Luli made a move, he could feel a surge of strong energy surging in. But that energy would be dispersed by the formations inside the relic armor. It was like punching into water, stirring up ripples. There is a formation within a formation. Luli checked carefully. He noticed that there were many formations inside the relic armor. When the energy spread out from the first formation, it would surge into the other formations one by one. In the end, the energy would disappear. What a powerful formation. What a marvelous and delicate structure. Luli nodded after a while. He told the immortal's body to attack with full force. The immortal's body made a sudden move. This time, Luli was smashed away for hundreds of feet. So strong, Luli closed his eyes to sense. He noticed that the energy coming from the immortal's body was a mass. As soon as it came in, the force exploded, creating a strong impact. No wonder. Previously, when the immortal's body attacked warriors at the peak of the semi-god realm, he could crush them with one punch and turn them into a mist of blood. Now, Luli finally understood. When the immortal's body attacked with full force, the energy would surge in and explode. Naturally, when a mass of violent energy exploded in a warrior's body, that warrior would be smashed into pieces. This formation is impressive. Luli sensed that many formations inside the relic armor were activated at the same time. They suppressed the explosion directly. What was more, several formations were actively absorbing the energy from the immortal's body's attack. The mass of energy was dispersed and absorbed, which dissolved the violent energy. Immortal's body, stop. Luli had sensed the strength of the relic armor. There was no need for the immortal's body to keep attacking. He put away the immortal's body, took out the relic weapon, and released a Xian energy attack. Swish, a ray of sword light whooshed over. Luli closed his eyes to sense. He noticed that there were many strange formations inside the relic weapon. It seemed that the relic weapon could increase the strength of attacks because of the formations inside. It is a pity that Kamang cannot sense those formations. Otherwise, his inhibition formations would be greatly improved. He could sense the relic because he had taken control of it. There was a spiritual connection. Kamang's psychic power could not go into the relic weapon. Let's go. After a while, Luli was satisfied. He flew to the Valley of Cherry Blossoms with Bai Xiaoshuang. Bai Xiaoshuang did not leave. After a pause, she said, "Darling, why don't you go and check on Little White? Little White is cultivating on its own. Poor thing." Little White? Luli was surprised. He realized that it had been a long time since he paid attention to Little White. Little White was no longer of any help to Luli because its abilities could not keep up. Therefore, Luli did not take Little White with him. Little White was cultivating in the ding of Barbarian God by itself. Why didn't Little White come to see him? Luli's heart softened at the thought of that little guy. He asked at once, "Where is Little White? Has it been cultivating? Is it still in the ding of Barbarian God?" "No," Bai Xiaoshuang said with concern. "A few years ago, Little White had been cultivating in the ding of Barbarian God outside the Valley of Cherry Blossoms. When I came back, you were always cultivating. Little White asked me to take it to the island of tranquility. It has been cultivating in the thunderstorm area all day." Somehow Luli felt guilty. Little White was smart, just like a human being. It must have realized that it could not help Luli. It must have thought that Luli had given it the cold shoulder. Therefore, Little White went to the island of tranquility to absorb thunderbolts to cultivate. It wanted to grow stronger so that it could attract Luli's attention and affection. Let's go to the island of tranquility. Chapter 1129. The island of tranquility was still the territory of the Wei family. Many years ago, the island owner was killed, and the Wei family appointed a new warrior at the peak of the noble lord realm as the island owner. The Heaven Reverse universe was peaceful. The Wei family was an affiliated family of the Great Buddhist Temple, and the Kong family of the Great Buddhist Temple was one of the four major families. Naturally, nobody dared to provoke the Wei family. The Island of Tranquility had been peaceful all these years. Today, the teleportation formation on the Island of Tranquility suddenly shone, and it was the largest one. The island lord immediately brought people out to welcome them. The largest teleportation array was connected to the Million Buddha City. Someone who could use this teleportation array must be someone important. The teleportation formation flashed for an hour, and four silhouettes condensed inside. Countless gazes swept over, and all locked onto a peerless beauty. Beauties were the easiest to attract attention. This beauty was wearing a gorgeous dress and had an elegant temperament. She was a top-notch beauty. However, the island lord's willpower wasn't too bad, and he quickly shifted his gaze to a mighty man to the side. After a glance, he was shocked, because that man was the Wei clan's clan king. When he looked at the person beside him, he was so frightened that his body trembled. That was because there was a dignified old man standing beside him. It was actually the Kong clan king. When he looked at the last person, his legs trembled and he knelt down. That man's portrait had been plastered all over the cities of the Great Land. It was the Grand Master of the Demon-Slaying Hall, the Master of the Heaven Reverse Universe, Lu Li. Thump, the group of soldiers all knelt down, their faces filled with reverence and fanaticism. The Island Master took the lead and said, "Greetings, Hall Master Lu, Lord Kong, Clan King." Lu Li waved his hand to tell them to stand up. He looked at the Island of Tranquility and exclaimed. Back then, he was ambushed here and almost killed by Ji Meng Tian and the others. The Island of Tranquility was still the Island of Tranquility, but many of its old friends had disappeared. Lu Li wanted to come here quietly with Bai Xiaoshuang. However, when he passed by the city of Buddha, he alarmed the family patriarchs of the Kong family and the Wei family. After arriving at the Island of Tranquility, he waved his hand and said, "Uncle Kong, please wait here. I'm going to take a look around." "All right." Kong family patriarch nodded. Lu Li flew away with Bai Xiaoshuang toward the northwest. There was a black cloud at the end of the sky over there. He could vaguely see lightning and thunder. There were often thunderstorms in this area. Little White should be there. Lu Li flew over with Bai Xiaoshuang. He used psychic power to check the surroundings. Even though Lu Li could see the dark clouds, it took him almost an hour to get there. "It's really here." Lu Li sensed with psychic power that a small beast was moving in and out of the thunderstorm. Lu Li was filled with affection. After so many years, Little White was still so small, like a kitten. Little White was concentrating on absorbing the energy of thunderbolts, so it didn't notice Lu Li's approach. Lu Li and Bai Xiaoshuang observed for a while. He thought for a while, and the purple armor appeared on his body. He asked Bai Xiaoshuang to wait outside, and he rushed into the thunderstorm area. Chi! Bolts of thunderbolts whooshed down toward Lu Li. Lu Li tried to sense when the first one came down. He discovered that the power of lightning was easily neutralized by the formation inside the god armor. He relaxed. He walked on the waves and soon arrived near Little White. Little White happened to be struck by the lightning and jumped out of the water. Little White turned around in surprise. Delight rose in its eyes when it saw Lu Li. Then it put on a look of grievance. It was afraid to come closer. "Little White, come here." Lu Li waved his hand. Little White put on a big smile and flew over like an arrow. Little White crawled in and out of Lu Li's body affectionately. It rolled its little tongue around and covered Lu Li's face with saliva. Ha, done." Lu Li took Little White in his hand and flew out. Patting Little White's head, Lu Li explained, "I have been in closed-door cultivation to overcome a crisis. I did not have time to play with you. Don't blame me." Little White was becoming more intelligent. It shook its head and hopped around Lu Li's body affectionately, like a happy child. Lu Li just checked and noticed that Little White was much faster. "It must be more powerful now," Lu Li said in a low voice. I need to cultivate for a while to dissolve the seal of the wicked bead. When I am done, I will take you to the purgatory of primordial chaos. If I can go to the prison of thunder, I will let you out. The thunderbolts there are strong. If you can absorb the thunderbolts and survive the prison of thunder, you will become a mythical beast. Then you can go to the divinity with me. Squeak, squeak. Little White's eyes glowed. It nodded like a chick pecking at grains. Luli thought about it and said, "Don't cultivate here. Go back to the prison of wood with me. I will leave in a couple of months. You can cultivate in the ding of barbarian god for a couple of months." Squeak, squeak. Little White nodded again. It was delighted that Luli came to see in person. Over the past few years, Luli had been busy with cultivation and seldom paid attention to Little White. Little White even thought that Luli didn't want it anymore. "Ha ha ha, let's go." Carrying Little White in his arms, Luli flew to the island of tranquility with Bai Xiaoshuang. They did not linger outside. They teleported into the prison of wood. In the Valley of Cherry Blossoms, Bai Xiaoshue was cultivating while Jiang Qiling was taking care of Little Lu, and usually Jiang Qiling and Bai Xiaoshue would take turns to take care of Little Lu, and Lu Hongyu would come and visit from time to time as well. Little Lu was a couple of months old. His parents were powerful warriors, and he had been taking medicinal baths since he was a kid. Therefore, he was growing up fast. It looked like a 1-year-old child, and it could still walk a few steps. It was very cute. Tell Master of Fairy Fox and Master of Heiqi to come. Also, tell Grandpa to come as well. Luli told them. Last time, he promised to set Master of Fairy Fox and Master of Heiqi free. When he went to the prison of gold, he would send them back to the Paleobeast realm. He asked Lu Xingyang to come because he wanted to give him the bead of wood. This relic was not particularly strong. Luli had a relic armor. The bead of wood was useless to him. He might as well give it to the Lu family as a family treasure. With that said, he could not wait to dissolve the seal of the wicked bead. After that, he would set off for the prison of ice. It had been years since Luli last saw Lu Renwang. Also, he was afraid that warriors of the 9 universes would come after him. Therefore, he wanted to set off as soon as possible and go to the prison of ice to meet Lu Renwang. It had been a long time since Lu Li dissolved the seal of the wicked bead. Over half of it was gone. The remaining part would only take him 2 or 3 months. Okay, 2.5 months later, the wicked bead glowed. Somehow, some information appeared in Lu Li's mind. He opened his eyes and smiled. He had dissolved the 4th seal of the wicked bead. The wicked bead had a new ability. His speed seemed to have increased. Also, a new hall appeared in the wicked bead. "Let's go in and have a look." Luli was excited. When the wicked bead first appeared in the hall, there were 3 drops of the Slayer's blood. With the 3 drops of blood, Luli had survived 3 crises and learned the Slayer's move. Now that a new hall had appeared, what would be inside? Chapter 11:30. Buzzing. Luli dashed into a hall, which was spacious and had 3 doors. It seemed that the doors were connected to 3 smaller halls. Luli was surprised to see that the hall was filled with books. The materials of the books were special. Most of them had turned yellow. They must have been here for a long time. There must be tens of thousands of books here. Luli was dumbfounded. Were these skills from the divinity? How could there be so many skills from the divinity? If they were not, then what were the records of the books? Luli walked over and picked up a random book. He was even more surprised when he took a look. The title of the book was A Brief Introduction to Formations from the Divinity. Formations and Inhibition Formations. Luli was disappointed. He had thought that it was a divinity. He picked up a few other books and flipped through them, finding that they were all similar books. Dragons and Dragons Trigram Formation. 4 Basic Formations. Summary of Spirit Gathering Formations. Formation of Soul Suppression. A Brief Introduction to Forging Relics. Luli flipped through the books one by one. After more than 2 hours, he had read thousands of books. He was utterly disappointed. None of the thousands of books he read was about skills from the divinity. They were all about inhibition formations and forging. In other words, all the books here were teaching people how to forge relics. Forging relics was a good thing. In the old days, Luli would have been overjoyed if he had one. But now he had a relic. More importantly, he did not think it was possible to forge relics in the mortal world. After all, there were no special mystical materials. If relics could be forged in the mortal world, then relics would have existed a long time ago. How long had the 9 universes been in existence? There were many forging masters, but who could forge relics? If Luli went to the divinity, why would he need to forge relics? He could just buy them or just rob them. Luli knew something about the divinity. He knew that average relics were worthless in the divinity. Heaven-grade Xian artifacts like those in the Heaven Reverse universe could be found everywhere. In the immortal realm, only transcendent-grade artifacts were valuable. Could he forge a transcendent-grade artifact? Ridiculous. There were tens of thousands of books here. It would take a long time to finish all of them. Even if Luli had enough mystical materials to squander, it would take him dozens or hundreds of years to forge a relic. It had only been 30 years since Luli was born. How could he have the patience to study this? Therefore, he turned around, glanced at the remaining books, and decided not to pay attention to them anymore. He walked to the side of the 3 small halls. At the door of one of the small halls, he pushed it lightly, and the door opened automatically. He walked in and glanced around, and the disappointment in his eyes deepened. This was because there were only a few cauldrons and special tools inside, which should be used to forge divine tools. He took a few more glances before retreating to the second hall. This door was also easily pushed open. There were many ores and all kinds of strange crystals in this small hall. This hall had a radius of 10 zhong and was filled with all kinds of strange ores and crystals. Luli didn't know what these things were for, and he didn't dare to touch them for fear that they might be poisonous or flammable. He took a few glances and left. When Luli pushed open the last small hall, he felt dizzy. This hall was even bigger than the main hall outside. It had a circumference of 3,000 meters, and it was filled with all kinds of strange spirit materials. Why does this horn look like a demon's horn? Also, the chi and energy are evil and cold. What kind of beast is this scale from? It's just a scale, but it's actually so powerful. The beast's skull is scary. Hiss, hiss. This eyeball can actually release soul attacks. I almost fell into it. Luli stood in there for a while. He felt cold all over and out of breath. There were too many strange, mystical materials in here. The chi and energy from many beast bones frightened him, and the chi and energy from many strange, mystical materials gave him the chills. He didn't dare to stay here any longer. Get out. After a while, Luli dared not to stay any longer. He left quickly. He was afraid that he would be overwhelmed by the chi and energy of some mystical materials if he stayed here for too long. It would be troublesome if something went wrong. Luli walked out and closed the door. He breathed heavily and realized that his back was soaked in sweat. The chi and energy of many mystical materials were so horrifying that he could not stand it, even though he was at the semi-god realm. Utensils, mystical materials, ores. Luli stood in a daze for a moment. He had an idea. The hall had everything, including books on inhibition formations, utensils, ores, and mystical materials. If Kamang could come in and study for a while, could he make some relics out of it? No. Soon, Luli shook his head. Kamang's realm was too low. If Kamang were to enter the hall filled with mystical materials, he would be overwhelmed to death by the chi and energy of the mystical materials. The wicked bead came from the divinity. Needless to say, the mystical materials in the wicked bead were all mystical beasts from the divinity. Even though they were just mystical materials left by mystical beasts, average low-level warriors would not be able to stand it. Take that eye, for example. If Kamang had taken a few looks at it, he might never wake up again. Let's see if I can make a relic in a short time. Luli was interested. After all, there were so many mystical materials, utensils, and ores. As long as he could learn how to make relics, he could make one after some trial and error. If he could make a relic armor and a relic weapon for the Lu family, the Lu family would be like the Yin family. They would have a strong foundation and could enjoy glory for generations to come. Luli was patient. He wanted to read the tens of thousands of books. He read several, but failed. In the end, he saw an ancient book on the table in the corner. He sat on the lion chair in front of the square table and picked up the book. What he saw were the words, Notes of Master Craftsman Tian Lingzi. Master? Luli curled his lips. Was he giving himself the title of master? How could he write the word master in his notes? Luli opened the book with patience. The first few sentences were all about Tian Lingzi's bragging. How impressive he was in the divinity, how many mighty warriors in the divinity beg him to make artifacts, how close he was with some super mighty warriors in the divinity, and how he claimed to be the best craftsman below the third plane in the divinity. Third plane? This was the second time Luli had heard of this. He was confused. How many planes were there in the divinity? Were there several divinity? Luli filtered out all the bragging. He had always been low-key and pragmatic. He never cared about false reputation. He had always believed that a man's greatness was not based on his own words, but on public recognition. Those who liked to brag about themselves were usually not that great. Luli was disappointed when he finished reading the notes. According to the notes, this Tian Lingzi had studied forging artifacts for 300 years and then worked on relics for 30,000 years before he reached the level of a master. Tian Lingzi himself boasted that he was the most talented one in forging artifacts in the divinity for 1,000,000 years, since this so-called master had spent 30,000 years to reach the level of a master. Luli would not be able to forge a relic without 1,000 or 2,000 years. Talented as he was, it would take him hundreds of years to forge a relic. He did not have the time or the patience. He had finally dissolved the fourth seal of the wicked bead, but what he got was of little value. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.